The last time I had DBro on a stream with me, we did a couple Best Ball Mania drafts. And before the draft, the one thing that we talked about before the draft was DBro was hammering home, we got to draft Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua is my guy, 18th round pick. We got to draft Puka Nacua. And so we made that agreement. We get to the pick. We look at, oh, he's still on the board. We're all excited. And then I got distracted. I think somebody sent me a super chat and I was responding to the super chat and completely missed my pick. And we did not get Puka Nacua in that draft. It was the difference between us advancing and not advancing. I don't think our team actually would have done anything anyway. Early in the year, it looked like it would have been a crusher team because we had Devin Achan or Raheem Mostert, one of the Miami backs. It was like a really, really super strong team. But ultimately, I don't think it was actually a team that ended up crushing because we had some injuries. I think we ended up maybe a 0 QB team at one point in the year. So it didn't really affect us that much, but man, was that painful early on looking at this team that was like, for the first 8 weeks of the year, I'm looking at the like top $10,000 leaderboard. And I was adding it up and it was like, oh man, we would have been like, this would have been my highest scoring team for most of the year. So it was almost a brutal run out there. In the end, it didn't actually cost us all that much. But this year, I know DBro is sick of hearing the question, who is this year's Puka Nacua? But I am hoping to get that answer out of DBro today. But I'll start with good morning, DBro. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, brother. And I'm going to throw this question back on you because I remember the answer to this. I want to put you on the spot. Do you remember who we got auto-drafted instead of Puka Nacua? Because I do.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason it actually didn't end up hurting us that much. We got Taysom Hill.
Yes, we got Taysom.
Yeah.
And we had talked about Taysom too. We were like, he's a cheat code. Like, why is he still a tight end? Blah, blah, blah. Now to Underdog's credit and BBM, they have corrected that. Unless I'm lying here. I don't think you can draft Taysom Hill this year as a tight end. Yeah, so, unfortunately, but guess what? We won't get auto-drafted with Taysom Hill this year, so we got that going for us as far as tight ends because we're not drafting him as a quarterback. But I'm doing good, man. I mean, look, this is a good time. I'm kind of recharging the batteries. The NFL draft cycle was, doing all the content with all these rookies and stuff. But to be honest, like when I'm now, because I'm early in my best ball process, so I love the fact that like I was hitting you up this morning and saying I was actually doing a few more drafts to kind of knock off the cobwebs before we got into the show. And I'm loving where a lot of these players are going, especially a lot of the rookies. We're going to get into it and dive through it, man. But I think there are a lot of really fantastic edges right now in best ball. I think we're also going to get some CLV on a lot of these freaking players.
Yep.
One or two of them, I'm not saying we have to draft, but looking at this in the essence, and I know you do the same thing, Neil, and when we're doing these at different points of the offseason, you look at it as a time capsule and you're saying, yeah, I'm just going to hammer the shit out of certain players because I know if this happens, or just as the sentiment and the consensus kind of wakes up, certain players are going to go up the board where they should be, and they're not now. So I'm loving these early best ball drafts, dude.
Yeah, and then you end up with a more spread out exposure just because at that point you're no longer grabbing that player for draft because now they're going where they should be. Let other people get them at that point. You've got your exposure. Yeah, it's part of the fun of drafting now and drafting throughout drafting season is getting those different exposures, even when you do have major takes. One thing that I love, and we're gonna jump in here. I'll jump into a draft and then I'll continue my thought here. So because I know there are people here who want to draft with us, and I am excited to get going. So I'm going to jump in here and then continue with my thought. So jump in now if you want to join us. One thing that I love about having you on the channel, DBro, is I am definitely not a player takes guy. One of the more memorable things from our first pod was I introduced you and right away I said, he's not really a hot take artist. And you kind of went, you were like, I don't know if I agree that I'm not a hot take artist. You're definitely a player takes guy though. Even if you're not a hot take artist, very much player takes. Very much player takes. Like, and this kind of goes to my process, but I don't think I'm a hot take guy, but apparently everybody out there, consensus, I think, here's the thing about it, Neil. I think people confuse passion with me trying to just be hot takey and stuff, or me following my process. And it's like, I might sound like I'm crazy a lot of times, until shit happens. And then it's like, oh, we all saw it coming. Right. It's one of those, like, you're willing to take the stance of, like, Puka Nacua is a smash pick. If Puka Nacua doesn't work out last year, it's like, oh, you look bad. Like, oh, man, I followed your advice. I took Puka Nacua. Doesn't work out. But because that's where you, like, I drafted Puka Nacua because you were pounding the table for Puka Nacua. Like, that was probably one of the bigger influences on, like, I wasn't going to draft this guy, except DBro kept saying, you got to take Puka Nacua. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll work him in there in that 18th round. And definitely glad I did that. So I'm appreciative of you having these player takes, and I'm willing to tail you on them.
I don't want to say that I get cemented in that, and I will own this and keep this very transparent. That is one of the things that I am trying to get better on as a best ball player, in that we talk about this, and I tell everybody that we're building portfolios, but just owning this myself and being transparent. One of the things that I'm really trying to concentrate, like work on this year, is not get overexposed. Like when I say like overexposed to certain players, like I'm trying to force myself to press the draft button on some players this year where I'm like, just with the assumption that like, there's a lot of shit we just don't know, man. And especially this early, there's a lot of things we're going to get right and get wrong. And for me, improving, and you try to find those edges of how you get better year over year. One of the ways is I'm trying to force myself to draft players that I don't like, or I wouldn't have drafted years before.
All right. I have some follow-ups there, but I want to start by acknowledging chat. I haven't really acknowledged anybody in chat yet. So first of all, Ethan says, first time watching this channel. I'm excited to draft. Hell yeah. Thanks for checking out the channel, Ethan. You can subscribe, of course. Would appreciate anybody subscribing. I have a subscriber goal for now, and I'm going to be transparent here. That subscriber goal is going to go up if I meet it. I'm just going to change the subscriber goal, but I am trying to grow the channel. So if you want to join, I would appreciate a subscription there. Charles says, I'm more worried about who is this year's Sky Moore. We can ask DBro about that as well. Since we're getting into some player takes here. That's interesting. Benjamin thinks that Ayuk is going to get steamed to the 1-2 turn if the Detroit versus San Francisco rumors are true. I feel like I've heard a lot of anti-Ayuk sentiment recently that I'm in on Ayuk. It sounds like a lot of people are not. Chris, good to see you in there in the 11 spot. Benjamin in the 1 spot, and Ethan got into the 7 spot. So we will, I like to, when people watch the channel, DBro, I like to go over their teams at the end of the draft, just kind of talk through how we feel about the team, where maybe they could have impressed. Oh, I see Mario's in here as well. Mario has been in chat regularly. We got the 8th pick, DBro. All right, so our choices, well, I'll leave it up to you who you really want to take. The ADP leaders, though, are Breece Hall, Puka Nacua, your guy, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jahmyr Gibbs, etc.
For me, it's between Puka and Garrett Wilson. I'm fine with just going Puka here.
He is the thumbnail here. I had to make Puka the thumbnail since he was your guy in the 18th round last year. And it worked out so well. So let's just get our Puka. Yeah,
let's get it out of the way. Like we're not going to get auto drafted this time. We got to sit here and correct that off the hop, man.
So the first follow-up I wanted to ask is, how do you think you're going to max it out this year? Are you going to max out any of these best ball contests?
Yeah, I think I am. I think so. What I did last year is I didn't max any of them, but I spread exposure. Like I had 15 to 25 entries, maybe a little bit more or less in certain contests. Like as Underdog kept opening contests throughout the summer, like I had exposure to every single contest, even the higher stakes stuff. So I had at least a few darts in everything. And that's kind of, again, I don't know if I'm going to max any of these because as they feel so fast, Neil, I find myself like where I want to kind of like dip my foot in like all the waters of all the best ball drafts and all these rooms, you know, because looking at it as time capsules that way.
Yeah. No, I don't think I maxed out. I mean, I probably maxed out some like 20 maxes last year, that kind of thing. But I definitely did not max out any of the 150 contests last year. Obviously going to be maxing out Best Ball Mania this year since I have committed to streaming all 150 of them. Not sure how many others I will. All right. So we got Puka now on the turn. According to ADP, it would be Jonathan Taylor, Chris Olave, Devonte Adams, Kyron. Any standout to you here?
I
could build out that team stack with Kyron, but that's... Who do you like?
Screw it. It's either Kyron or JT or Olave. It just depends on what kind of build we want to go for. Let's go Kyron because I haven't drafted any Kyron so far.
Yeah, I'm right now. I'm like sort of hesitant with Kyron only because I think he might move back. Like I think he might move to the 3rd round more. Yep. As the quorum, you know, Steam gets there. So that's my like. I've moved away from Kyron. I still like him though. Like I still think he's like
same. But again, trying to force myself to draft certain guys because Kyron, it's like everybody wants to automatically like, you know, they didn't really believe in him last year. And look, I can't say that I was over the moon for him, but look, he made a believer out of me. But going into this season, it's like if the offensive line is better, we get Stafford fully healthy the entire year, and I know that's a big if, but I still don't see I don't think Corum is taking over this backfield. I don't think it's going to be 50-50. I think it's going to be like probably 65-35, 70-30. And we're going to see a lot of Corum. Like if the Rams defense is better and they're in positive game scripts, which I talked about this on the Fantasy Pros channel, last year the Rams were 4th highest in positive game script rushing rate. So that's where I think you see Corum lean into it. Like if instead of Kyron salting it away and him getting up to 25 freaking carries, are they going to limit him more like 17-18, 15-17? He gets 20 touches a game. And then the guy who's hammering the ball at the end of the game, if the defense is better, would be Blake Corum. That's where I think Corum makes a lot of sense, or like how he fits into this. So I'm still fine with Kyron. Like I've got him as, oh God, where do I have him at? I've got him at RB11. So I still think he's an RB1.
Oh, you have an RB11. Okay, that's kind of a hot take. He's going as what is RB? We've got him at the RB6 is where we drafted him.
Yeah,
Jonathan Taylor goes. So who else do you have ahead of Kyron? If you know off the top of your head, if you have your rank.
Yeah, I got it pulled up already. And honestly, looking at this, I probably need to bump him to RB10. The guys I got above him, of course, are CMC, Brees, Bijan, Barkley, JT. I do have Gibbs ahead of him. That's one of the things I'm like, kind of like. I've got Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne, and I have Joe Mixon ahead of him. Joe Mixon's ADP makes zero sense to me. Like, I don't understand. And he's one of the other players that I'm trying to hammer right now, because I think Joe Mixon should be in the 30s as far as ADP, and the fact that he's in the 50s. And I've never been a Joe Mixon guy. I've never been one of these, I've never been going into a season where I want to just absolutely hammer Joe Mixon in best ball and redraft. But this year, yeah. I don't see anybody taking the volume away from him. And can he be better version of Devin Singletary this year and the Houston offense take another step? I look at Joe Mixon's ADP and I just feel like it's wrong right now. But what are your thoughts with it, Neil?
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm definitely in. Okay, it is our pick. We could go Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Devonte Smith, Cooper Kupp. Keep building on the Ram stack if we want to go Kupp. But
what's our next pick after this? Where are we at after this? I kind of know where.
41.
Okay, so I think we need to get another wide receiver here. Let's go Devonte
Smith. All right.
I just look at, he's a great. I look at Devonte Smith as a really good ceiling floor guy. Like his floor is really, really high in that offense. And I think there's a lot more ceiling to be had too, because if the offense bounces back, because they were dreadful last year under Brian Johnson, then we could get some ceiling. Put it this way, Neil, would you be that surprised and shocked if both A.J. Brown and Devonte Smith both finished as wide receiver ones this year? I really wouldn't be, but some people could be.
They almost did 2 years ago, right? Like they
did. Devonte was wide receiver 14. Yep.
Yeah, so they were right on the verge of it, and yeah, it would not be shocking at all. Do you think they might throw the ball a little bit more this year? I guess I don't really know that I have reason to believe. I'm just thinking how does I can't figure out how much to factor in Jason Kelce leaving. I feel like he's been such a fixture of that offensive line for so long. Do you have any thoughts on how that affects things?
I think with the signing of Saquon Barkley, I think Jalen Hurts is going to lose some of the rushing touchdowns. I think those are going to go more the way of Barkley.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about Jason Kelce leaving in the sense that I still think they're going to field at worst a top 12 offensive line, and I think it's still probably top 5. Because again, they have parts or pieces to replace him. Now, again, you're replacing a Hall of Fame talent. I understand that, but I think that will impact what they do in the red zone and at the goal line. And if that's the case, and I'm saying that it's less Jalen Hurts rushing touchdowns, yes, the automatic Barkley's going to get more touchdowns probably than people are expecting.
It's our pick. Let's make our pick. So I didn't want to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Right. So ADP would be Josh Jacobs, Zay Flowers.
All
right.
Where I think we're going to automatically make the connection of, Barkley's going to get more touchdowns, but the other way this could go, Neil, is what if Philly passes more at the red zone? Because they have not been a red zone passing team at all. What if that changes and we get more touchdowns for A.J. Brown and Devonte Smith?
Yeah, I think it's 100%. We also have, there's the obvious out of what if A.J. Brown gets hurt or something happens where Devonte Smith is suddenly the wide receiver one there in Philly, which would not be shocking You see injuries every year. AJ Brown pretty healthy, I think, so far throughout his career. So obviously not something that we're expecting, but like just one, like he would be a very clear wide receiver one if that happens. I do realize after we make the pick that I'm guessing that our guy Chris here was trying to build out the Philly super stack. He had Hertz, or no, sorry, he had AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley with his first 2 picks, and then we sniped him. Yeah,
sorry, not sorry, Chris.
But he ends up still. He gets Hertz, so he has Hertz with Brown, Saquon Barkley. A lot of people are going to have the Philly super stack, so like if you mix it up there, I don't think it's the end of the world to not get the full stack.
This is my first time drafting Zay Flowers, and I've been trying to draft him, but it hasn't fallen to me yet. And I'm only like 10 to 15. I think I'm somewhere like about 15 best ball teams in so far. But I love Zay Flowers. Like I think that he's a player that we need to be looking at and drafting a shit ton of, because losing Odell Beckham Jr. I think was big. And could this passing offense, because we saw Todd Monken, that he massively increased the pace last year, could this passing attack consolidate even further upon Zay Flowers? And you know as well as I do, Neil, just betting, if you were to just take all this shit out, betting on a second-year wide receiver that showed flashes in his rookie season is just always a strong bet to make. So I'm going to be drafting a ton of Zay Flowers, because he's one of those guys where I feel like he can easily outkick his ADP. Like he's going as a wide receiver 3 in most rooms.
Yep.
I think he's got top 15 upside this year.
So the funny thing for me is I definitely, so what I usually do there is I prefer Andrews over Flowers just because of the positional. I'm just like, well, I'd rather have Lamar Jackson with Andrews. I mean, also because of ADP, because Zay Flowers goes ahead of Andrews. And now you're making me think maybe I need to be, because I basically have not drafted Zay Flowers unless I can get Lamar, or if I'm like really desperate for a wide receiver and he's like there. So I have not been taking a huge Zay Flowers stand, and now you're making me think, well, maybe I'm just making a mistake. And I like that can be because I'm so focused on the positionality stuff and like I don't know, just why would I take Zay Flowers when I could just get Mark Andrews, around later, and he's a tight end? I
don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. And I'm taking your stance on certain other teams where I feel like the divide is farther. Like I'm not drafting hardly any. I don't think I've drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. at all yet, but I'm drafting a shit ton of Trey McBride, because again, that ADP gap makes no sense to me.
Oh, here we can get your guy Joe Mixon here.
Oh, let's get Mixon.
That makes
that
sense.
way we can.
Do you like him better? You like him better than James Cook, as I recall, right?
Yes, because here's the thing with James Cook. Like I'm worried about what is his red zone role. Plus, he still has to contend with Josh Allen. Is anybody worried? Like we know when Houston gets into the damn red zone, who the hell's getting the ball? Like if they're rushing it in and it ain't Stroud, which it's not going to be much, then it's going to be freaking Joe Mixon, dude. Like he's legitimately, like people could run away from it. He's got top 5 upside this year at running back.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny because I feel like I've seen Joe Mixon get so many goal line carries where he just gets stuffed, but I'm like, I know that he had so many of those in Cincinnati, but it's just like I feel like that's kind of fluky. Like that's not going to hold over year to year.
That doesn't matter. Touchdowns are so like it's one of the flukiest things year over year and stuff, and it's like we should be gravitating to volume and we should be gravitating to opportunity. And the other thing I'll add on top of this, Neil, is people don't realize when Devin Singletary was the lead back in Houston, not only, were they running the ball well? If you look at offensive line metrics, Houston was top 12.
We got to make our pick here. George Kittle, Kenneth Walker, Alvin Kamara, Jordan Addison.
Do we have a tight end yet? No, we
don't have a tight end yet.
Let's get Kittle. Yeah, because I either want Kittle. And again, like I'm big on like trying to grab one of these possible elites at the positions. So Kittle, Pitts are kind of like that last part of a tier. And Njoku is probably the last guy that I think probably has top 3 legitimate upside that I'm willing to gravitate to.
Yeah, I think that I see it. How do you feel about and we have so many good comments in chat that I want to get to, but
they're lighting it up, man.
Yeah.
Chat, keep just dropping this in here. How many likes do we have on the stream right now, Neil? Because that's something.
That's a good question. So I don't have YouTube pulled up, so let me take a look. But we have
because whatever it is, it needs to be more. You're doing fantastic content out here. People need to be liking the stream and then subscribing to your channel immediately. Like if they want to win money. And this isn't even best ball because I know you're gonna be doing DFS content out the ass when the season gets here, man. Right?
Probably, yeah. Unsure what my plan is for DFS. I will be doing DFS content. Unsure if it's going to be here or somewhere else at this point. But yeah, absolutely, we'll have some DFS content coming. I'm trying to go find my, how do I find my channel on my, I want to see how many likes we got. Yeah, we got, I think you're right. I think what I'm seeing is not enough likes is the
Not
answer.
nearly enough. Like whatever it is, the rookie numbers, they need to post this up, man. Come on. If you're in here commenting, take 2 seconds, like the damn stream, support good people.
I just gave myself the 12th like on the video. So yeah, go ahead. And
this has to get up in the 50s at least. That's bare minimum. Come on, people.
And while we are talking up our stuff, DBro, where can people find you?
Everything's all at Fantasy Pros, man. I'm working on all the redraft content. So right now, what I'm going to be pinning right now is my perfect draft article. So everybody, I mean, literally, it's going to be all the players that I'm going to be hammering all season. So I'm working on that. That should be probably live later into this week, probably next week, with the way the week is kind of trending for me. But yeah, it's all the stuff at Fantasy Pros. Plus, some people are doing dynasty drafts, best ball drafts. I've gone through and updated the write-ups of over 80 plus rookies that are live on the site right now with outlooks and full scouting write-ups. So that's really been the labor of love for me lately.
Are you going to be streaming some best ball? Like I think of Fantasy Pros as being more focused on season long.
I'm screaming at the uppers right now for us to do a shit ton more best ball content. Now we will have our best ball draft kit live very soon. I want to say we're trending for June 1st for that, if not before then. So there will be that, and we'll have a ton of content from everybody at Fantasy Pros that will be in that kit. So people need to check that out. But as far as the streams themselves, yes, I'm screaming at the uppers above me to green light that, because I mean the people need best ball content.
It's just so easy to do too. Like it's like it's fun, it's easy to do. I've been a proponent of, if you are new to streaming or if you want to try out streaming for the first time, it is so easy to do best ball content. Like just like you stream a draft, you talk about what's going on in the draft, you have things to react to. It's really, really straightforward and kind of, it can be slow paced, as slow paced as you want it to be. So yeah. For somebody like yourself, DBro, I feel like that would be an entertaining draft with you're an energetic guy, you got a lot of player takes. It would be fun. So they should be doing some drafts, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's always a good time, buddy. What's I'm kind of trying to keep up with ADP. What's our next pick at?
So our next pick is, we have 80 and then 89 are our next two picks. Currently we're at Kyron, Joe Mixon, Puka Nacua, Devonte Smith, Zay Flowers, George Kittle. And as far as ADP goes, the next couple of picks would be quarterbacks that we don't have any stacks for. And then JSN, Deontay Johnson, Rashee Rice, Christian Watson, DeAndre Swift.
There's two guys, and I'm afraid like we got a lot of people in here in the chat. I see you chat, and I see y'all making picks.
All right, we're on the clock now. So do you have a thought for this pick?
One of the guys that I'm hammering right now, it's between two guys. I'm drafting the ever-living hell out of JSN and Christian Watson. I want to take Watson here.
All right, let's go.
So my thing with Watson, I'm curious where you stand with it, Neil, is that when he was, now I get he was extremely like banged up and in and out of the lineup last year. When he was in the lineup, he still led the team in target share. He was the downfield guy, and he was getting all the splash plays. So as much as I know he burned people in redraft leagues, I still think he's the wide receiver one on this team. But what's your take on it, Neil? Because I feel like Jaden Reed's getting a lot of love, and I get it, but I feel like we're kind of burying Christian Watson.
So I love this. So we have Tyler in the chat, says Beard Gang. Right, what up? So Tyler was on the stream yesterday with like the exact opposite take. And I love that. And honestly, that is how I feel about Christian Watson, is like, that is the range of outcomes. Like I think he was saying that he was on the Chase Claypool career trajectory. And you're saying like, he is the leader of the team. And I am like right in the middle of like, I feel like he's going where he should be, because I don't know if he is the wide receiver one on that team or if he is the injury prone wide receiver 3 on that team. Like I honestly,
but you're not having to pay for it. You're not having to pay for it. Like, doesn't his ADP feel like if he does step forward as the wide receiver 1, like we're paying what, wide receiver 4 price tags for him, right?
Yeah. So I like his price tag much better than Jaden Reed. So I've been drafting way more Christian Watson than Jaden Reed, because I think they have approximately the same like likelihood to be the wide receiver. Do we want to go Jordan Love here now?
Yes, that's exactly why I wanted to take Watson.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I wanted to go Watson. And I see Ben's comment here in the chat too, and we could definitely expand upon that about why I'm high on Zay Flowers, but why I'm low on Jayden Reed. So the difference in the two of those, Jayden Reed wasn't even a full-time player last year. He was really efficient based off of the playing time he got. He was never a full-time player, and it wasn't even close. Like, we're literally talking about a wide receiver that had a 58% route share. That's rough. Now, could he get to where he's 100%, like he's an every route per drop back guy? It's possible, but he's not even playing the perimeter. So if Green Bay is running a lot of 12 and 21, just like they did last year, he's still not going to get there because the guys that play the perimeter are Watson and Dubs. So as opposed to Zay Flowers is going to be out there every damn snap. So there's a big difference in terms of just like how we're projecting these guys. Reed, if he doesn't become the full-time player, is going to need to smash and grab all of those efficiency metrics at a similar, maybe even higher clip than he did even last year to pay off this year.
Yeah. Agreed. So I also, one of my few player takes, DBro, is I love Davien Wix where he's going, because I think that he has about the same range of outcomes as every other receiver on the Packers. Like I think he might be the wide receiver
Jayden Reed, right? Like that's, I mean, he's
being drafted as the fourth receiver, and I think that being the wide receiver 1 on the Packers is in his range of outcomes. You look at his like yards per route run, first downs per route run, etc. Those numbers were really good last year.
Yep.
And they're still, I think, figuring out their depth chart. So I've been hammering the fourth Packers receiver, and if he ends up being the wide receiver 4 on the Packers, it's gonna not work out too well for me. But even if he's the wide receiver 3 on the Packers, I think he's got a good price. And I think that he has the upside of being like wide receiver 1 or 2. So I've been hammering home Davien Wix as my Packers guy. It's funny, I feel like we all have like that Packers, like there are Romeo Dubes guys. It's just like we all have that one Packers guy that we love because they all have that wide receiver 1 upside on a great offense.
I'm getting a lot of Tucker Kraft too, because he's essentially just free. And the way that I feel like, especially when I'm looking at like late round tight ends, tight end 2, tight end 3s for best ball builds, you just want to invest in really good offenses, or offenses that we think are going to be really good. Because if touchdowns are the lifeblood of tight ends, then you're going to invest in really good offenses. And sometimes it's just as simple as invest in good offenses, or just tie them to your quarterbacks that you draft. Because again, the easy correlation. But again, you go back to this, okay, well, if the quarterback's good, he plays good, then we're going to get scoring, we're going to get touchdowns, and that's going to filter down to the lower parts of the offense. And a lot of times, that's tight end.
Yep. All right, we are coming up on our next pick here. And we have Kittle, we could throw Brock Purdy on here. I know you're concerned about listeners. I don't care that much about getting Purdy, though. We could go second tight end with Brock Bowers. So we've got a couple interesting options here at the top. Let's see what Big Rig leaves for us, and then we can.
I know exactly where I want to go with this, because I feel like his ADP is wrong. I want to go Brian Robinson Jr.
Brian Robinson Jr. All right.
Well, hold up. No. I'm going to take that back. So it's either Brian Robinson Jr. or Jayden Daniels. And honestly, let's go Jayden Daniels, and I'll give you my take why.
Love it. All right. I mean, he's fun. He's fun as hell. So I want to hear this.
So why the hell is he being drafted outside the top 12 quarterbacks? He's going to move up. I'm telling you right now, Neil. He's one of the players where I'm just like, this shit is wrong. I don't understand why we're doing it. It makes no damn sense to me, but people are doing it. And I know his ADP is going to creep. It will creep up the closer we get to week 1. I mean,
so I can tell you why. It's because people are worried that he's too small to be running quarterback.
God.
He's going to get hurt.
Stop
we had the
shit?
Anthony Richardson thing happen last year. Like, if Anthony Richardson gets hurt every game, then Jayden Daniels definitely will. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, I'm like, it's a fun pick. Like, it's just like you get him at pick 100, and he's just like going to run for. He might have 100-yard rushing games. Like, yeah.
That's my whole thing. Everybody says, well, what about the size and what about the injuries? Okay, let's flip that on its head. What if he stays healthy? What happens if he stays healthy? The way that I look at it is he's a top 10, top 12 quarterback. Lock it in. Just lock it in. If he stays healthy, that's the case.
Yeah.
I don't understand how he doesn't. And people that will talk about Anthony Richardson, dude, Anthony Richardson in the full games he played, and I get it was only 4 games that we got out of him, he was on pace. And again, I get the pace stats. He was outscoring freaking Josh Allen. So just throw that out there. But
this is probably just a 2 quarterback room, so we probably don't need Purdy, is what I'm thinking. Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, I don't. We can take a 3rd quarterback like late.
But we could throw Dubes onto our stack with Jordan Love. We
could either go him, Romeo Doubs, or actually, you know what? Let's go Devin Singletary.
I'm in on Singletary, so I like to hear that.
I love Singletary and I love Brian Robinson where they're going. Like they're easy volume. Like why are they going as RB3s? I legitimately don't understand it. Like, can somebody explain that to me? Devin Singletary, you might hate the Giants, but is anybody else going to get volume if he stays healthy? No.
Yeah.
Like, same thing with Brian Robinson. He's getting the goal line work. Like, why are we not drafting either one of these guys earlier than what we're doing?
Yeah. I got to point out that Chris got his revenge pick, taking Brian Robinson after we were hoping for him to come around the turn. So I see you, Chris. Now we're all even.
Daniels.
we got Devonte Smith. He got Brian Robinson. We're all squared up. Okay, truce, Chris.
Yeah, please fight.
I'm joking, of course. I'm joking. I don't think it's a revenge pick. I think that's just a assault. He heard you talking about how much you love Brian Robinson. He's like, oh yeah, I like that too. I want that.
It's one of the risks that you take drafting live on these.
Yeah.
Neil.
No, that's definitely the push and pull of like, how much do I want to say before I make the pick about how much I love. And then of course, if you're streaming 150 of them, well, like, I mean, you kind of have to. You're just going to have these conversations and hope that people don't snipe you. But it is going to happen pretty regularly. All right. First of all, I got Bindle says, Neil said, F off morning people. I say it all the time. F off morning people. DBro, of course, is a forced morning person because he has kids.
Yeah. I'm not a morning person by any stretch.
Yeah.
No. I used to be, but now I hate it. Like, now I'm like, When we were talking about what time to do this show, I was like, 12 p.m. Eastern sounds good.
I was. So my suggestions were like, are you free any of these afternoons or evenings? And then Debra was like, when can you rock on Wednesday morning? I was like, fuck. But I wanted to stream with Debra.
Yeah, but morning for me is like 10 a.m. later.
Yeah, right. So we settled on noon, and I'm still grumbling like, oh, that's so early. But I mean, it's 11. It's 11 for me. To be fair.
That's fair. That's fair. Oh man.
A lot of complaints that I don't wear enough flannel on the channel. Noah says, Neil, I haven't seen a flannel in a while on these videos. John points out that we need some flannel with cutout. So I actually have. I bought. Do I have it?
No, you need a flannel cutoff, and then you need to rock it with like no undershirt. Just have.
So I bought. Awesome. I bought shirts that appear to be flannel. I bought T-shirts that appear to be flannels that I have worn on the streams.
That's amazing.
It's the first shirt that I've ever worn. So I bought them on Amazon, and I thought they just looked like kind of cool shirts. Wait, we'll make
with a trucker hat? Are you going to rock it with a trucker hat? I feel like that's a must, right? Cool.
I mean, yeah, maybe you need to get a flannel trucker hat. All right, let's see.
That would be awesome. Oh, life goals, Neil. Life goals.
All right, what is Big Rig gonna do? He goes so we could still throw Romeo Doubs. I mean, at this point, I feel
let's
like
lean into
you get him this far after ADP, like
yep. And that's probably why he fell, because people were like, "Oh, well, Love is gone. If somebody would have grabbed Love outside of us, I bet you Dobbs would have already been gone."
Oh, for sure.
It's the lovely thing about drafting on underdog. You can always like expect like some of the stack mates to kind of fall whenever you grab the quarterback.
Yeah. So I bought a blue and a red, like a flannel appearing shirt, that is short sleeve. It's not actually flannel material because that would be too hot to wear during the summer in Minnesota. But it looks like flannel. It's the first shirt I've ever worn that my wife, one day we're having a conversation. She just kind of like pauses and looks at me and goes, that shirt is ridiculous. Well, she's not usually one to comment on my clothing because I'm not, particularly well dressed, but that was the first time. She's like, that shirt is ridiculous, which I thought was
my, did you see this latest comment? This has to happen on a stream. This absolutely has to happen on a stream.
Cut off flannel with overalls.
Yes,
I mean, probably can't be in the summer. Like that would have to be maybe in the fall. Maybe in the fall.
Well, then you just cut off the overalls into like jorts, dude.
Okay, that's true.
That's it. That's the move.
Maybe that could work. I could try
That's
that.
That's the 4D chess.
DBro, I'm going to a wedding in July where the fashion or whatever you call it, the dress code is fashion risks is the dress code. It's out in the woods.
I just dressed you then, Neil. I mean, the cut
perfect,
off
right?
flannel, the overalls that are cut off into jorts. I mean, dude, you would be the talk of the entire wedding. I just throw it out there.
That sounds great. All right, we are up again. We have 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 5 wide receivers, and a tight end. We could throw Davien Wix is my guy, and he's still here.
So I want to actually go down. I want to get Marshawn Lloyd. We're going to go into the Packers stack, but I want to go that way with it.
All right, I'm fine with that. I'm getting enough.
You've got enough Wix. You got enough Wix. Just follow me down this rabbit hole, Neil.
I'm a Marshawn Lloyd believer too. Like I love that where he's going. I think that he is a very strong pick. So I'm not opposed to that pick either.
Yeah. If Dobbs wouldn't have fallen past ADP, I would have been totally with the Wix pick. But I feel like if we're gonna continue to lean into the Green Bay stack here, which we're doing, then I kind of feel like I want to get exposure to that backfield too, because we're making the bet that the offense is really damn good. And if we're doing that, then if Josh Jacobs goes down, the touchdowns are going to go to Lloyd.
Yep. No, I like that. AL Paul says DBro is a class act, good man.
Thanks.
Absolutely. That's why
I don't usually get nice comments from chat. That's why I don't usually get these nice comments. YouTube tries to light me on fire usually. So which is fine.
We love DBro on this channel. Noah wanted to know your thoughts on Hackinson. He says, I feel like he would be a top 50 player without the injury.
But the injury, that's why. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, but it's the injury. Like, I'm not drafting much of any of him because I don't know if we see a fully healthy version of Hackinson this season. So that's for me, concern. It's like he's going to have to drop way past ADP, and I'd have to even go back. Let me see where he's at because I got it pulled up on my second screen here. Hackinson is at tight end 13, 115. Like, for me, he's got to fall into and I think he could. All we need is he's starting on the pup, and I think he falls into the 130s, 140s, and that's where I'll probably draft a little bit of Hackinson, but not right now.
Yeah, I think that I'm on the same page. So I think so Noah's thought is, or my thought is if he were coming back to be that top 50 level talent next year for starting week 7 or even week 9, whatever, then I'd be probably into buying him, around pick 100, whatever. But I'm not sure that that's going to happen. I have concerns that he is going to be not fully healthy all next year. Now he's got the rookie quarterback. So I think there's just enough little obstacles to getting full Hawk so that I'm not really buying in. But I am with you, DBro, that there is a point where I'm willing to make that bet, and it's probably just a little bit past where it's going right now.
I was hoping Ben Sinnott would fall to us.
I know. I knew you were hoping Ben Sinnott would fall to us.
I was too, cheap stack, dude. The Washington Commanders outside of Terry McLaurin, it's such a cheap. Well, I mean, it's a cheap stack. The entire rest of the offense is such an easy bet to make at ADP right now. I'm drafting so much Sinnott and Washington Commanders right now.
Yep. That was definitely the hope. Just get him, just right around ADP, I think here would have been for Sinnott. We don't get him though. So now we got to continue. So ADP here would be Quentin John. I mean, Luke Musgrave goes with the stack.
Go down a little bit. I got my guy, I think. Well, unless he already went. Go to wide receivers.
Is it Jermaine Burton?
It sure as hell is. Did he already go?
Did he go already?
Oh, shit. Did he go?
He went.
Okay. Let's go.
We went Musgrave. I had to make a last second pick.
No, that's okay. I was still kind of yeah, I was still kind of in my head. I was shit. Because I was really earmarking Burton for this. Where did he went earlier in the round, which his ADP has been creeping up. That's one of the ones that I've been having to take him a little bit early.
Me too. I'm all in on Burton. I've been drafting so much.
He's such an auto pick, dude. If you want to go running back a little bit early and you feel like you're behind that 8-ball or wide receiver, he is the easy guy to just draft him in the 140s, early 150s, be ahead of ADP by a round. Because he's going to continue to go up. He's going to be... Where do you think he's going to be by the time we get to week 1, Neil? I think he's probably going to be in the 90s, to be honest.
My guess would be a little bit later than that. I would guess round 10 is probably where I would guess he goes.
Curtis Samuel is at wide receiver 49, and he's at 100.7. I can make you a case where he's... Jamison Williams. He should be in that same type... that's wide receiver 48. I feel in the 90s is where his ADP is probably going to settle at.
I mean, Tyler Boyd. So my comp is like, where was Tyler Boyd going last year? And I feel like it was the 10th round, but I also might be wrong about that.
No, Tyler Boyd's been in the 110s, 120s, but here's my thing: he's better than Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's been a descending. Oh yes, easily. Okay. Like Tyler Boyd's been a descending player as far as talent profile and efficiency for multiple seasons. So I think like we're looking at Burton, like we should be drafting him ahead of where Tyler Boyd was going previously.
So my thought for this pick is we just get McCaffrey here, just so we have a stack
yes.
Here,
I want Luke. I want Luke McCaffrey.
I know that you're in on Luke McCaffrey. I think you just did a tweet about Luke McCaffrey.
Shit, did he already go? Oh, okay,
no, we got Luke McCaffrey. Okay. We went around ahead of ADP. I'm fine doing that. Like, I'm particularly fine here where it's like we don't have any stack. Like I'd like to have some stack. So.
Well, my other thing about it is ADP is a false construct at this point. Like it's not 100%. Even like real. And when you're this late, like. I don't care about what ADP says.
Yeah,
like,
agreed. 100%.
I'll take a guy that's in the 210s. I just don't give a shit.
Yep.
Because there's no difference in the 210s between like 180 or 180 versus 160 or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Charles says, so Green Bay wide receivers equal Kansas City wide receivers. If you're referring to like years past, the past couple years, Kansas City wide receivers, God, I hope not. I guess Rashee Rice worked out, but like there is a little bit of that. Like we don't really understand the depth chart. But if this year's Kansas City wide receivers, I would say that is actually a fair, like they're the poor man's Kansas City receivers.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Like I feel like we're just making a bet on what we think is going to be a good offense and tying it to a quarterback. Again, we want to talk about ADPs that are wrong. Like, tell me that Jordan Love shouldn't be getting drafted. Where's he at right now? QB 10, which I don't really have a problem with, but I do think he should go ahead of Dak Prescott. I do think he should be probably snugged up next to Kyler Murray, to be honest.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah, I'm definitely in on Kyler also, but yeah, I do think Jordan Love is, I think one of the first ranking sets that I looked at was maybe it was Matthew Friedman. I forget. I don't remember if it was Matthew or somebody else, but had Jordan Love very, very high. And you know, in best ball, he's going much later. So I'm like, I haven't been drafting him where he was ranked in that set, but it was somebody that I'm like, I think I trust this person's opinions and was much higher than where he's going. So
yeah, I've got him at QB 9. I've got him at 77 overall right now in my ranks,
which is a little bit ahead of ADP. It's not like crazy high ahead of ADP, but it's
just about a round.
Yeah.
Reasonable. So what's the team looking like right now? Where are we at, Neil?
The team is looking pretty strong in my opinion.
I hope so.
So we have
some money on this.
Jordan Love and Jaden Daniels at quarterback. At running back, we have Kyron Williams, Joe Mixon, Devin Singletary, Marshawn Lloyd. At wide receiver, we have Puka Nacua, Devonte Smith, Zay Flowers, Christian Watson, Romeo Dubes, and Luke McCaffrey. At tight end, we have George Kittle and Luke Musgrave. So I know you're more of a craft guy in general. Right? Well, let's make our pick. Let's make our pick first. So by ADP, it's Thielen, Chuba Hubbard. Man, this is a gross range.
Go down a little bit. Let me see. I feel like let's take Javon Baker. I want Baker.
Let's go. Potential wide receiver 1. We just don't know the depth chart there.
Yep. And the other thing is, if we wanted to go QB3, which I don't know. I'm curious what your take on this is, man. I feel like with all the quarterback and tight end injuries, I'm going to end up with a lot of 3 QB, 3 tight end builds this year. Because I feel like with injuries last year, and this could be, maybe I'm just baking in too much of last season, but I don't want to be taking zeros at QB. I feel like they're free points at the end of it. So like these back end stacks, like Jane Daniels stacks are basically free. We could also draft Drake May late, and then if Javon Baker ascends and he is their wide receiver 1, shit, I mean, that entire offense is just basically free. So it's like you're just making the bet that they outpace expectations. So like, you could easily just double stack Drake May late and go Pop Douglas and Javon Baker, and it's for pennies.
So I feel like I'm going to be light on 3 QB, 3 T together, but I do think like so far this year I've been really in on elite tight ends, so I just stop at 2 tight ends most of the time. I do think that as the season goes on, I'm going to try to mix it up, and I'll do more like 3 tight ends at the back end of drafts. It's tough with quarterback because I don't want to overreact to last year. Like you said, like we don't want to overreact to just like all the injuries last year, but also having multiple stacks. Well, let's make our pick. How do you feel about Tyrone Trace? I guess we got Singletary. Do you want the?
Well, we already have Singletary, so
we could still handcuff him if we wanted to, but totally up to you.
We could
go. Thielen.
I mean, fuck it. Let's go Tracy. Let's get wild with it. Like, do I think in a lot of like builds and stuff like that, does it make a lot of sense? Probably not. But the other thing is like, we do have the backfill owned, and I feel like he is the clear RB2. So really, again, you're just making the bet. Like, in a lot of different instances, does it make a lot of sense? Like, should we be gravitating towards handcuffs on other teams to give us some more variance? Sure. The other part is Tyrone Tracy's not really being drafted in a handcuff tier. Like, he's going way after that. And again, a player that I feel like the entire ADP of that backfield, just in general, doesn't make any sense. Like, Singletary is too damn cheap. Tracy's too cheap. And the closer we get to week 1, I think both those players rise.
I think so
unison.
too. They and I think they should. I think they were
agreed.
They're just a little bit too cheap right now. And I historically I haven't been a hand cucker. I have not been drafting the backup to my running back, but I'm more open to the idea this year. And I think my hesitation has always been like, we're shooting for upside. Like, you really want your backup running backs to be the backup to somebody else's running back. Like, you want to benefit from somebody else's running back going down. You're getting doubling down. But at the same time, like, I'm getting more and more open to the idea of, maybe he just fills in for the weeks that the starter goes down. You have the backup there already in a cut. Like, I'm not doing it with all my running backs, but like here or there, I'm more open to the idea. Well, and it's more about value too, like just finding the right value spots.
I think the other part of this is, and this kind of goes back to a bigger thing that I know we have talked about before, is you're drafting all of these drafts like you're drafting like you are right. So when you're doing that, you're saying, okay, well, I'm going elite tight end, so if he gets hurt, I'm probably screwed. This team is burnt anyway. Right. But we're not having to make that bet with where Devin Singletary is going. Like, you're just drafting and saying he's going to be good and he's going to outplay ADP. Not like, if he gets hurt or he falters, my entire team is burnt because of the pick that I made on him or the ADP that I invested in him.
Yeah, where these guys are going, like Devin Singletary could be a great receiver for 10 weeks of the year and easily pay off his ADP. And Tyrone Tracy could be a great running back for 4 weeks of the year and great, like, really pay off his ADP. Like, they could both very much be smashes at ADP because of where they're going in this draft. Whereas some running back groups, maybe it doesn't make quite as much sense, but for those guys, I think it does. Ethan asks, is there an advantage to drafting teammates without the quarterback? For example, I have Bowers and Myers, who I realize may compete. So I think the general consensus right now, we are on the clock and I almost missed that. All right. I don't think we have any stacking to do here. We have 5 running backs and 7 receivers.
Okay. Go down a little bit. Let me see here.
I think we're, So I took Jalen McMillan, who I do not feel.
Sorry, I didn't see where we were on the clock.
No, that's my bad bad clock, man. I didn't realize that we were on the clock until there were only 15 seconds left.
McMillan's fine. Yeah.
I don't have any like great reason for taking McMillan other than I didn't want one of the quarterbacks at the top of the board to be our pick. So I just
how many running backs do we get? Like, we only got 1 pick left, right?
We do only have 1 pick left. I sort of regret that last pick. So we have Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels at quarterback. We have Kyron Williams, Joe Mixon, Devin Singletary, Marshawn Lloyd, and Tyrone Tracy at running back, which honestly, I think that could be just totally fine. All set at running back. We could throw in another if we wanted to. At wide receiver, we have Puka Nacua, Devonte Smith, Zay Flowers, Christian Watson, Romeo Dubes, Luke McCaffrey, Javon Baker, Jalen McMillan, and at tight end, we have George Kittle and Luke Musgrave.
I think my guy already went. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, is DeMarcus Robinson still out there, or did he?
He went pretty early. He went at 173. Damn. Yeah.
See, he's a really good pick right now. Like, I think people are like, he is a smash pick where he's going right now. Like, people are forgetting the end of the season run that he had. Like, weeks 13 through 18, he was the wide receiver 31 in fantasy points per game. So I'm drafting a shit ton of him right now. We could go.
Drake May went. It looks like
we got sniped.
We could take your guy Tucker Kraft also.
We could go Kraft. We could go Kraft. I think I like Kraft. I like
star him and then talk.
Let me see here. What else is look like? I don't think we need another wide receiver. So what does running back look like? Yeah, it's Kraft, or I think it's Dylan Lobby for me. And I'm fine. Let's just lean further into the Green Bay stack. Like, screw it.
Yeah.
Why not? We made the bet right now. Like, why don't we just double down?
Yep.
Or triple down, or whatever the hell we're at now.
Yeah. So that is our team. So we have completed our team. And I'll read off our team for now, which is, again, Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels at quarterback. We have Kyron Williams, Joe Mixon, Devin Singletary, Marshawn Lloyd, Tyrone Tracy at running back. At wide receiver, we have Puka Nacua, Devonte Smith, Zay Flowers, Christian Watson, Romeo Dubes, Luke McCaffrey, Javon Baker, Jalen McMillan. And at tight end, we have George Kittle, Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft. So Jordan Love paired with all of Christian Watson, Romeo Dubes, Luke Musgrave, and Tucker Kraft. Jaden Daniels, just the skinny stack with Luke McCaffrey. How are we feeling about this team? Oh, and we also, I don't know if I said, but we have Marshawn Lloyd with Jordan Love also.
Yeah, I mean, we just made the mega bet on the Packers, and people could say, well, look, like, I mean, here's the thing. Could we be screwed because I know schedule release comes out and bye weeks and stuff if like Kittle and the Packers guys, like we're grabbing a 0, maybe a tight end? It's possible. The other side is like, if we believe, and kind of going back to Noah's point about drafting teammates, the way that I look at on drafting certain teammates, I'm doing this a lot with, and I've done this over the last few years, is grabbing the wide receiver 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 or different parts, because if we believe in an offense and we're saying we're going to get spike weeks out of this offense. I don't know where it's going to come on a weekly basis or how often it's going to be certain players, but at the ADPs, if you're investing in the offense, it's like, if we combine the spike weeks from, say, Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, and both of those guys don't go off every single week, but if you mush them together, we could get top 12 production based off of, here's a spike week from Musgrave, here's a touchdown that week from Kraft, here's one from Musgrave throughout the entire season. I like pairing teammates on the back end of rosters, whether that's the wide receiver 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 or 3 and the tight end, and saying, we're just going to get spike weeks. I don't know what's going to happen, but if you mush all those spike weeks together, they probably even out to like a wide receiver 3 on your best ball roster.
Yeah, I think that is a great synopsis of, yeah, I'm generally in on drafting. I think that is like the general consensus in the best ball community right now, is that it is sharp to do, we call them secondary stacks, where it's just like stacking up the team without the quarterback. I think it makes a lot of sense. As DBro said, you're just betting on the offense. It's just, you're already making the bets on any like regular primary stacks with the quarterback and the receivers. Those are like your biggest bets. You're betting on, like we did with Green Bay here. We bet on the quarterback, Jordan Love. We bet on his pass catchers. We also bet on, we put Marshawn Lloyd in there. We're just making a full on push all the chips in on Green Bay. But you can do that. Like you can do those primary stacks with the quarterback and then build out secondary stacks also. Like I'm just building around, like, honestly, the ideal team for me might just be like, you only have 5 teams represented on your team, like 5 NFL teams, players on your, maybe 6, I don't know what the number is exactly, but like, I like those teams where you're just like correlating everything. Every single player is correlated with another player. You
want to know my favorite secondary stack without the quarterback right now? Yeah,
let's hear it.
Ladd McConkey and Josh Palmer. Because people are going so far to the side about, okay, the Chargers are going to run. And I don't disagree, they're going to run the ever-living shit out of the ball this year. But Justin Herbert is going to still throw the ball, and we're going to get spike weeks out of these wide receivers. And while I do love Ladd, and I'm drafting a lot of him, because, again, a player that I think is going to rise throughout the offseason and through the summer, the other thing is, if we think that volume is a problem for these wide receivers, so these guys are going to inherently probably gather spike weeks because the quarterback play is really good, but volume could be an issue. Ladd McConkey and Josh Palmer, just drafting them together on a team makes so much sense in the world to me right now.
One of them is going to be the wide receiver 1, probably. And the wide receiver 1 on that team should go higher than either of them is going right now. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You just need one of them to hit.
And if Herbert outpaces expectations, like even like drafting him and going the double stack that route, it makes a ton of sense right now.
I've been making a heavier bet on Josh Palmer than Ladd McConkey so far.
Agreed.
Because of where he is in terms of ADP.
I am too. And Herbert's at QB 17. Like, it's not like you're paying up to get him. You really don't.
Yep. We'll continue. Can we do like 5 more minutes just going over questions and looking at some teams, and then we'll jump into our second draft.
Give me, you're driving this bus. I'm just riding, Neil. Damn.
I know you've already agreed. You've agreed to do a second draft with me, which I really appreciate. But I don't want to take up until, I know you have kids, until 4 p.m. So let's continue talking through some of these questions a little bit. No, I'm not sure if I understand the what about Ertz then.
Probably like when we were talking about our
Because
Jaden
we didn't have
Daniels
Sinnott.
and
Like we could have
Commanders.
thrown
Yeah,
Sinnott
yeah.
onto our
Yeah, and
that is
Ertz
true.
is fine. Ertz is fine. I look at, and the problem that I worry about with Ertz is what's his ceiling? Like as a tight end 2, tight end 3 on a build, or if you're going like I want to just get a gaggle of tight ends, like, you're going the 3 tight end build, shit, maybe you go 4, super late or something like that, then I think he makes sense. But my problem with Ertz is, what's his ceiling? Probably like tight end 12, maybe.
Yeah, that's a long shot.
Exactly. Like, so I look at him, it's not that I don't think that he's going to get targets this year, and it's not that I don't think that he doesn't make sense as far as, especially if you're getting a lot of Jaden Daniels. It's my problem is I just don't have a ceiling outcome for him. Whereas like Ben Sinnott, if you were telling me he was getting drafted as tight end 8 or 10 or 12, then I would kind of lean off of him. But he's going as a tight end 2 right now, and his ADP is perfectly fine. So I'm just making the upside bet on Sinnott and avoiding Ertz.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. I guess if you thought that Ertz was going to be the top tight end there, you could, I don't know. I haven't been doing the Ertz thing, but I know
I get the process and I get the reason for it. Yeah. It's just not one of the guys, especially if I'm drafting tight end late, like give me Tucker Kraft, give me Jelani Woods, give me, a lot of these other guys where they have the athleticism and they're young, to where if they hit, I think the ceiling is much higher than even Ertz, even saying he stays healthy and Ben Sinnott's not a thing.
But to Noah's point, on this is the one scenario, like if somebody else had sniped us on McCaffrey, that's when I would draft Ertz. So it's like, all right, I guess I'll make the bet because I don't have any stack here. At that point, maybe I would have. Chris, I am glad. We took Chris's guys. Apparently, he said, I thought we had a truce, and we just continue taking his guys.
It's not so much a fight, Chris. I mean, it just
sounds like you have good guys.
Exactly. It just sounds like you have really good takes and you're drafting good players. So this really isn't a fight. We're just hand-holding down the road, really. Yeah. If you want to look at it that way.
All right. Let's see. And we will look at these other. Oh, yeah. So Noah was asking, what did the first pick do in the draft for quarterback? And he asked us to look at a couple. He says a couple of teams are value hounding like crazy. All right. Well, we will look at those because a lot of the people that were in this draft with us, a lot of people in chat were drafting with us, so we can take a look at the teams that were. I like, that's what I usually do, is I just look at the teams of anybody who was in chat while we were drafting. I'll look at their teams after the fact, so we will do that real quick. And then copy paste asks, any Galaxy Brain schedule reads pre-schedule release. I don't think I understand any schedule reads, like guesses on the schedule.
Probably like who's playing who, or trying to get correlations based off a schedule, like before it comes out and stuff, which there is some stuff you can do with that as far as like looking at drafting players from the same division, because we know that they're going to play each other at some point in the year. Now, if you're right, you hit Yahtzee and that's during the playoff weeks for underdog, then, more power to you. But overall, I'm not worried about it too much, because again, we're going to have the schedule's going to be live after today. So whatever.
Not trying to do too much with it yet, because we can.
If we were doing like best ball drafts before the NFL draft, like that early, that's where I think you could have leaned in some of that, like drafting division mates and stuff. But at this point, it doesn't matter.
All right. Well, we have Benjamin here is at the 101. We'll take a look at Benjamin's team, which I know Noah was curious about. So Benjamin starts with his QB1 is JJ McCarthy. So he goes late quarterback. JJ McCarthy, Daniel Jones, Bo Nix. At running back, he has Christian McCaffrey, Zamir White, James Conner, Chase Brown, Bucky Irving. At wide receiver, he has Malik Neighbors, Terry McLaurin, Jaden Reed, Brian Thomas, Cortland Sutton, Ricky Pearsall, Darnell Mooney, and Jalen Hyatt. And at tight end, he has Sam Laporta and TJ Hawkinson. So he has JJ with just Hawkinson. He has Daniel Jones with Neighbors and Hyatt. And then he has Bo Nix.
There's Cortland. I remember that.
Yeah. Okay. So he has skinny stacks, one or two stacked with each of his quarterbacks.
It's a really well correlated team.
Yeah, it's well correlated. Not like, and I kind of feel like we did to any one team, but he's got the three quarterbacks, late quarterbacks correlations built in. Any other thoughts?
No, I mean, I feel like I kind of look at this team, and I'm curious if Ben tosses us into the chat if he's still in here, is that I kind of feel like looking at his team, this looks like a build of a team where I got sniped to hell and back. And basically you're trying to make up ground by correlating and stuff like that. I'm curious if Ben throws that in there, but like, this is a team where I feel like if I was in a draft room and I just kept getting religiously sniped, and you're trying to build correlation to overcome where it's like, shit, I'm not getting any of my guys.
Yeah.
But outside of that, no, I mean, I feel like it's a good team as far as like correlation, structurally. Like, what did he go? What was it? 3, 6, 8, and 3 as far as like quarterbacks and everything, or
yes.
3, 5, 8, 2. Oh yeah, and I feel like looking at that, like. Yeah, see, he was aiming for Detroit and San Francisco. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with this team. Like, I think it's a very, very fragile team, but the way that you're making the bets off of if Daniel Jones paces anybody's expectations for him, then Neighbors is going to hit. If McCarthy starts and Hackinson comes back, he could be the late season hammer for you. I have no problems with this team at all. And I freaking love Zamir White, another player that I'm drafting the ever-living hell out of it because his volume is going... If he stays healthy... He's going to outkick his ADP easy.
All right, so that's another take that my stance has been that Zamir White is fancy Devin Singletary. Like just like Devin Singletary to me is the same bet as Zamir White a couple rounds later. So I've just been like, well, I guess I'll hold off and take my second tight end here or whatever and just get Devin Singletary a couple rounds later. I had been hammering home Zamir White in pre-draft stuff when he was going like pick 110, 120. So part of it is just like my bag's already packed there. So I'm like, at this point I can hold off and get different guys later on. Were you going to say, or you could just do both? I mean,
I was going to say, or you just say, screw the RB position for the first few rounds and you draft Zamir White, Devin Singletary, and Brian Robinson, and we're off to the races. But I still look at there's meat on the bone. Like, and I don't disagree as far as like, has Zamir White's ADP, if you hammered him early and you got all your exposure at that point, I don't disagree, like standing away from him. The other point I'll make about him is I think there's still a ton of meat on the bone for Zamir White. Like I have him ranked what a lot of people could consider aggressively, but I've got him at RB14 right now in my rankings. And I look at the volume proposition for him, and I get we only got a 4-game sample out at Neil, but like, dude, he was on pace. Like he was averaging over 23 touches per game. He was the RB12 in fantasy points per game when he was the starter.
Yeah.
He was legit on pace, and I get it was only a 4-game sample for over 300 carries. So even if we bump that down a good bit, I just look at it as like he's free money. Like if he stays healthy, I don't see how he doesn't finish with 300 touches this year.
You're not worried about Alexander Madison, I assume?
Shit, no.
That feels
Alexander
like
Madison couldn't even stay healthy or still like he couldn't even get carries in his own damn back. Like Alexander Madison is not a worry at all. That's basically okay. Here's a guy that could carry the ball, maybe
if we need somebody to. Yeah,
and everybody I've seen takes about people going with Dylan Lobby. I think Dylan Lobby is probably burning a draft pick, honestly, because I don't even think he's the passing down back on that team right now. Amir Abdullah is still on that roster. So, like, tell me, again, veteran deference with AP being the head coach still. I think if we're looking for the passing down guy, even in that offense, it's not Dylan Lobby probably. It's probably Amir Abdullah. So, even in that case, I think it's just the answer here to the question is just draft more Zamir White.
All right, that's a hot take. I probably need to be drafting more Zamir White. Again, I did a lot pre-draft. I've been doing a lot less since he's moved up. He moved up the board pretty quickly, so I don't see him. Like by the time I'm drafting running backs, he's already off the board. So maybe I need to work in a little bit more Zamir White there. All right, so Ethan was in the 7 hole here, and I know Cowboy 5 Rings. I think is somebody that I know, but I don't think I saw him in chat. Mario Solar also has been in chat before, but I don't think I saw him today. So I'm just going to read off people that I saw in chat today, and of course, if any of you else want me to draft, just let me know. We can take a look at your teams. But Ethan goes with Anthony Richardson and Jared Goff at quarterback. He has Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, Jerome Ford, Ray Davis, Jaleel McLaughlin, Elijah Mitchell at running back. At wide receiver, he has Amon-Ra St. Brown, Michael Pittman, Deontay Johnson, Jameson Williams, Jacoby Myers, Rashad Bateman, Eli Moore. And at tight end, he has Dalton Kincaid, Brock Bowers, Jelani Woods. Looks
nice
strong
team
to me.
That is a nice freaking team. That'll highlight another player that I'm drafting a ton of is Jerome Ford. Like, we don't even know if Nick Chubb is going to play a damn snap this year, Neil. Like, he might not play much at all. He might not play until the second half of the season. Like, I look at Jerome Ford, and he's another player where it's like, some of these running back ADPs just do not make sense to me because, like, Devin Singletary, Brian Robinson, all these other guys, but Jerome Ford needs to be on that same damn list, and he's going in the 40s right now.
Yeah, he is. So I'm in on Jerome Ford also in part because I'm way out on Nick Chubb this year. So I've been doing the same thing. Just like, this guy's probably the RB1. Do you have any concerns about Deontay Foreman there?
No. I think Deontay Foreman was brought in to help lessen some of the load. Like, if Chubb truly cannot play and stuff, where it's like, even if you look at this backfield, Kareem Hunt is gone. And I don't think Deontay Foreman, even if, let's play this out, Neil. So if Foreman does play a role in that backfield, it's going to be on the early downs. It's not on passing downs. But wait, Jerome Ford is also a good early down runner. So what are we looking at? Foreman's probably just the change of pace or the spell you kind of guy on early downs for Jerome Ford. But Jerome Ford can still play 60% of the snaps and play the passing downs. Right. So I'm not worried about Foreman. If anything, that just kind of makes me feel a little bit better about Jerome Ford, because if we had a guy, and I'm not worried about Nyheim Hines. Like, Nyheim Hines has to prove that he's even healthy.
Didn't even know he was there. Okay.
Well, and because people, that's another concern. I think if people are looking at Ford, they're like, well, can Ford do either one of those things? Because Nyheim Hines could take the passing down work, and then Foreman could take the early down work. And I'm like, well, then why aren't you drafting those guys? Right. Like, but that's also baked into Ford's ADP. If Ford was going as a top 24 running back, then I would say, sure, okay, well, here we got concerns because nobody's baking in the downside. But he's not. If anything, people are baking in the downside too much.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely with you. And that's part of the reason that I'm like doing a lot of zero RB this year, is because we keep on talking about running backs where it's like, well, he looks mispriced. He looks mispriced. Like, all these running backs that look like this guy's just going later than he should be. And you can just, a lot of them, like we said, Zamir White, Brian Robinson, Devin Singletary, these are RB1s. Like, these are all guys with mega upside. If one of those three hits in a big way, like you get all three, you're looking pretty good there.
Agreed.
Agreed. All right, so I'll move on. The next in the draft with us is Chris here in the 11 hole, who, of course, we were battling with the whole time, sniping each other left and right. Chris ends up with Jalen Hurts, Drake May as his quarterbacks. Oh, he sniped us on Drake May too. He got us back.
I knew it. I had a feeling Chris was going to go May. I'm glad to see the validation of that. It did happen.
All right, Chris. All right, sorry. Jalen Hurts and Drake May. And then he has at running back Saquon Barkley, Zach Moss, Brian Robinson, Zach Charbonnet, Khalil Herbert, and Aldrich Estime. At wide receiver, he has A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Romo Dunze, Marquise Brown, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Polk, Troy Franklin, KJ Osborne, and at tight end, he has Jake Ferguson and Dallas Goedert. So he goes full on Philly stack -1 because we sniped him on Devonte Smith. Then he gets Drake May with, so he also included Saquon in that stack. Drake May so he did not get Antonio Gibson, which I often do, with Polk and KJ Osborne. I looks like a strong team to me. Do you have, what are your thoughts?
It looks like a strong team. The only thing I would say is depending, and can we go back and look at what did the wide receivers look like when he went with Moss in the 90s? Because that's the only pushback. I feel like you're playing catch up a little bit with your wide receiver room. Maybe the only difference that I would have done with that team, because he took a lot of shots at running back, which are really, really good shots. I might have gone a wide receiver there instead of going Zach Moss.
Wait, so
there's
Moss
right here,
Zach
Warren.
Moss. So I mean, Rashee Rice, Jameson Williams. I don't know. Like, this is not the strongest wide receiver.
No, not. And looking, and that's exactly why I wanted to pull up the draft board. Like, I agree with you going Moss over those guys. The only guy that I could maybe make the case for would be Sutton, because I feel like Sutton's a little bit underpriced as a player that, like, if we get, because Russell Wilson wasn't good last year. If we get better quarterback play out of Bo Nix, and I know that's a low bar, but Cortland Sutton with all of those touchdowns, and I know he lived off of touchdowns, but if he reprises the role as the red zone guy, and we do get a better offense in Denver, he's the one guy that I feel like is a little bit underpriced.
Yeah.
But taking the shot on Zach Moss versus the other guys, I don't disagree. That's the only other thing that I would have said with that team is, like, if you had any one of those guys, I guess from the round before that would have fallen, I would have taken a wide receiver over Moss. But considering how the board laid out for him, I don't disagree with the Moss pick.
Yeah. And I mean, we talked about early in the stream that touchdowns are kind of fluky year over year, not really predictable. But I also think that Cortland Sutton could retain the touchdowns and be better everywhere else with a better quarter. Like, I think he's an actually good good receiver. I'm also in on, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. This is one of my other big player takes. I'm very much in on Bo Nix this year. Are you? How do you feel about Bo Nix as a like last round draft pick?
So I don't like Bo Nix at all as a player.
Okay. All right.
But let me give caveats to that. Where he's going in best ball, I think is perfectly fine. He is a really, really good pick as a strong QB3 right now if you're going down that well, because he's going to be starting all year, and that's not being baked into where his ADP is. And if we do get some spike weeks out of it, it's like, I feel like just overall though, Neil, it's like the entire Denver offense is all being left for dead. Like basically everybody's saying
100%.
They're not going to score any points. They're dog water. They're terrible. And that's where I'm like, well, I'm just going to draft a lot of Denver. That's another team where it's like all of their ADPs collectively are all way too damn low. Now, looking at it from the player take aspect, I'm more in on, instead of going down the Knicks, like I'm more in on just drafting the team as a secondary stack on top of other stacks. Like, so going Cortland Sutton or Troy Franklin or and Jaleel McLaughlin, or even taking a last round shot on Blake Watson and saying, okay, if it's not Jaleel, then it's Watson that emerges from it. And I'm fading Javonte in my early best ball drafts right now, but even he could be considered a value. So really, for me, there is merit to drafting Bo Nix, especially where he's going, and depending on your build and sewing up with correlation, especially once we get the schedule out. We know there's going to be really good offenses in the AFC West. So that type of like easy correlation for the back half of drafts or the last few rounds of drafts, if you do go KC, or we're talking about the Chargers guys or who have you, and how the schedule lays out, I think there's a lot of merit to drafting a lot of Broncos right now.
Yep. 100%. Love to hear you say Jaleel McLaughlin. He's also one of my bigger player takes. I feel like he's going
I've drafted him more than anybody else, dude. Like, not as far as like anybody else in the industry, like he's going to be one of my highest roster players easily.
Yep. Me too. And I feel like he's been moving up a little bit. Like his ADP of like 178 makes no sense to me. But I so far I've been like, well, just, I'll get him around ahead of ADP, and he's still, I get sniped there pretty regularly.
RB 55, 175 overall. It's still not high enough. Like he should be going, I feel like Jaleel should be going in the Marshawn Lloyd territory in the 140s until he gets around there, or he surpasses that. I'm just going to draft the ever living hell out of him.
Mad Sox says Steam is building on McLaughlin. You're the second show today I watched hyping him. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Like it should be rising.
Go check them receipts, Mad Sox. I've been out there talking about Jaleel since freaking February, bro.
Join you now in 3, 2, 1.
Hooah! Let's
looks
go.
Like we are
one
almost
more person.
Full.
One more. Somebody from this chat, hop in here. Come on.
Jump in here.
Come on.
My favorite is when it's like half full when I do that. So then people have the opportunity to get in, but it's not going to take an hour to fill. But hopefully somebody can get into this one with us. Yeah, I'm. Sorry, you were saying what were your receipts? You were high on McLaughlin when you posted about
I've been talking about McLaughlin all freaking off season. Yeah. I just feel like he's been mispriced, man. Like I just look at it as like I don't understand why he's been going where he's been going. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Come on, chat. We got 22 likes on this freaking stream. Get that shit up. Come on, get it up here. Let's go. But with Jaleel, like I just feel like he's an easy bet to make, man. Like Javonte coming off the knee injury, if he doesn't bounce back, then somebody's got to catch passes. Somebody's got to score touchdowns out of this backfield. And Peyton loves to run a lot of the touchdown equity through the backfield. I mean, just go to like every freaking Saints team ever before this. And that's just through multiple iterations of running backs. So it's like, that's how he wants to run his offense. So like, why is Jaleel McLaughlin like going as an RB5? Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. And like they even said this year, like they are not sure, like it's going to be a competition. Like I just came out yesterday. I think Sam Sherman posted a clip or something from the from the offensive coordinator, I think, saying like there's no guarantee that Javonte Williams is going to get touches this year. Like the touches for Javonte Williams are very much not guaranteed this year.
Peyton has talked about whoever deserves to get the ball is going to get the ball, and he doesn't but he doesn't have any merriment to anybody. Like Javonte was drafted by a previous freaking regime. Like the guys he's brought in have been Jaleel McLaughlin, have been Blake Watson, and have been and with who's the other guy that I'm missing here? McLaughlin, Watson, and Estime.
Yeah.
So looking at those guys again, they're all free in drafts right now. So all you're doing is just fading Javonte and taking shots on this backfield. And none of their upside is priced in for any of these players, McLaughlin included.
Yeah. I just remember that there was, Chris had asked early, and Chris is not in this draft, but asked us what's the most undervalued player and overvalued player in BBM. Do you have any thoughts immediately? Is that a piece of content that you're going to put out at some point? Do you have anything to any response there?
Jaden Daniels is probably one of the most undervalued guys. And I know people could say, well, he's QB 13, but where he's going in the mid 100, like the 1 teens, is stupid cheap to me. I would say the most overvalued player right now, and I can say this, and I know people are going to hate.
Do you want to go? Do you want to go Puka again, or do you want to go Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson?
Let's vary it up, man. I want to go Garrett Wilson. I definitely want to get. I want to go wide receiver heavy with this draft.
Love it. Let's go wide receiver heavy then. All right, sorry. Continue.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm gonna say this, and I know people are gonna hate it, dude. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have to break records in his rookie season to pay off at his ADP. Like he's going in the first round of a lot of drafts. He's going, and I've got him ranked as wide receiver 9. But when we're drafting him at this point, and we're talking about where you're taking him in best ball drafts, like to outkick that ADP, he's literally going to have to be a top 3 to 5 wide receiver this season.
Speaking of, we are on the clock, and he is the top ADP.
I can't take him there.
Skipping it. Do you want to go running back here? Do you want to go Brandon Ayuk?
Do you want to go hero RB, or do you want to go, because we went hero RB? Let's go with Brandon Ayuk. Screw it. Like I said, let's lean into the wide receivers.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk gets traded maybe before week 1, or Debo gets traded, so his target share goes up. I'm willing to make that bet right here over the bet of Marvin Harrison Jr. because Brandon Ayuk already proved to us he's stupid efficient. So if the volume goes up even higher this year, then he's going to outpace people's expectations.
Yep, 100%. I knew with certainty that YOLO bet, after we passed on Marvin Harrison, was going to take Marvin Harrison. Because a name like YOLO bet, you want to take that YOLO bet on the most exciting rookie wide receiver in a while. So that's.
I mean, do you disagree with me about Marvin Harrison Jr. though, Neil? Like, I need to hear your Harrison Jr. take, because
so I've been drafting him. I've been drafting him at the turn a fair amount. So to me, it is a very, very fun name to click in part. So it's like I want to bet on that offense. Like I think it's largely it's so fun to bet on Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, Kyler Murray. Just like build out that offense. Trey Benson. Like that's just
Trey
like
Benson's
that is a fun offense in Arizona. Yep. So I've been drafting a lot of him, and it's not as much a like player take thing for me as it is I want to build around this offense because that's super fun. But I think you might be right. Like the rookie receivers in general have gotten pushed up more and more every year. Like we get, I mean, Malik Neighbors.
Well, the top tier of guys. Now I feel like that's second tier, like where Burton is going and McCaffrey and all those guys. Their ADPs are way, way too low. It's like everybody got really like tunnel vision, and they said, okay, all of these top guys, we're going to push them way up the board, but everybody else is being left for dead, I think.
Yeah. So it's the tough thing is, I don't think it's wrong where they're going now. Like I think that they've been pushed up so much that it's like they're pretty much, a lot of them are around where they should be in the early stages. So like Brian Thomas now goes around pick 70. You get Rome Odunze around 65. I guess I don't have any strong take there. I know you were saying that you think that Lad McConkey is going too late, and I've been drafting him probably right around ADP. I can't decide if that's too late or way too early. I go back and forth. I'm like, he looks so tiny. I just look at him out there. I'm like, man, can this guy really make it in the NFL as a wide receiver? And he probably can.
I heard the same things about Tank Dell last year, Neil.
I know.
That he was too tiny too, right?
Yeah. But Tank Dell, you were making the bet in the 18th round. If it's just
fair.
So much tougher to make that bet where you have to take Ladd McConkey. So I'm like, I go back and forth there. I have drafted a fair amount because it is fun to just like build out that offense too. Just like Ladd McConkey, Josh Palmer, Justin Herbert, like build that at a turn. Super easy to do. So I have been doing it a fair amount. But there's a part of me that is just super nervous that we're going to get not a lot out of Ladd McConkey. But again, I think he's going probably right around where he is, given his range of outcomes. I think that his ADP is fair. I know you think that he's going a little bit late.
I think that you can make the case both for and against that. Now, I will say about Ladd, I think he's going a little bit late, but I do think that they're also I think that where we're at right now in the offseason, I think JSN should be going ahead of him. I think Deontay Johnson should be going ahead of him. Their ADPs are lagging. So it's I just have more, I guess, parts or pieces. Marquise Brown should not be going ahead of Ladd McConkey. I don't think Jaden Reed should be going ahead of him. I don't think that Jordan Addison sure as hell shouldn't be going ahead of him.
Yes, yeah, I'm unclear on whether that. Okay, so we are back on. Do we want to continue building out wide receiver? Do we want to go DK Metcalf? We could go Josh Allen and
let's go DK. Let's go DK.
Just continue on with the receiver train.
The other thing with Seattle, and I looked into this earlier in the offseason, I think that Geno Smith is going to have a bounce back here in a big way. And the biggest thing to believe in this is if you looked at Geno's numbers and you split it up between pressured and clean pocket numbers, Geno Smith was still really damn good last year, Neil. And I'm going to pull this up while I'm kind of filibustering right now.
Yeah, you pulled that up.
Go ahead.
I was going to note all the people that are in chat in here. I know the name line of scrimmage. I can't remember who it is. If you're in chat, let me know. I see Charles in here. I see Alex made it into this one. And we see Ben back in this one, goes from the 1 hole to the 12 hole. So good to see you guys back drafting with us. All right. Did you pull it up, DBro?
I'm looking for my specific tweet right now. But what I will say about Geno Smith is if you look at, and I remember this off the top of my head, but when he had a clean pocket, his efficiency metrics, if you look at big time throw rate, adjusted completion rate, yards per attempt, they were all still top 12. So he was still freaking good last year. The problem is Seattle's offensive line was a bottom 5 unit. They were bottom 5 in terms of pressure rate and pressure rate over expected. So if we get, and they've made a lot of additions and reshuffling, and they're making bets on bounce back players along that offensive line. I think if that's the case and we get a better offensive line in front of Geno this year, we're going to see a bounce back for Geno. And that makes me want to buy into more JSN, and I'm going to have some Geno Smith as far as looking at best ball stacks because, again, he's being left for dead. And this offense, while everybody's talking about, they added a defensive head coach.
We got to make our pick, DBro. So we have 3 wide receivers. We could take Josh Allen top of the board a little bit past ADP.
What's our next pick after this?
It's not for a while. Our next pick is not until 58 and then 63, 82.
Let's go Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I want to go Allen and see what we can do with this team after that.
Yeah.
Because his stacking partners are pretty damn cheap. So it's you can get later guys for the Josh Allen stack. And again, we're building in 0 RB here. So let's just lean the hell into it.
We're probably not going to get Dalton Kincaid. He's just gotten so steamed up that now he's going around the 4-5 turn a lot of the time. That used to be a pretty easy thing to do, Josh Allen with Dalton Kincaid.
We took Allen, so maybe we get lucky. But I agree with you. But
it'd be fun if we get there. I'm glad that we started with 3 wide receivers because if you didn't notice, looking at top of the ADP there was no wide receivers inside. Every receiver toward the top, if you look at ADP, was gone. Now I guess Pickens is up here. A receiver that I'm not particularly in on. I don't know if you have thoughts on George Pickens.
I like him where he's going. I see the ceiling because we've seen the offense without Deontay. But I guess my whole thing is where Pickens is going. I feel like if I'm going to make a bet on that offense and it's going to be through the passing attack, I feel like the better bet to make at ADP right now, Pickens I like, but Roman Wilson's going too late. So it's kind of I would rather just go Roman Wilson or correlate with a quarterback to Pat Freiermuth. So
yeah, I've been largely out on Pickens. I guess I think I'm just biased because he doesn't really get separation, even though he continues to produce just by mossing people. Like, he just continues to get it done anyway. But I just part of me is like,
Arthur Smith, man, it's just Arthur Smith. Ugh.
Yeah, that's not great. Not the best addition to that team.
No, Arthur Smith is going to do dumbass Arthur Smith things. We know that's going to be a case. So I mean, I guess we should be drafting more Darrell Washington, considering he's going to end up with like 7 touchdowns and everybody's going to tilt their damn faces off.
I drafted some Darnell Washington last year. The what is he, like 6'8"? Like, just like, oh, he's going to score touchdowns for sure. And then that didn't happen.
Yeah, and the Steelers were like, nah, we're not so much on playing him. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. Yeah,
just a blocker mostly.
Yeah, which is like, okay, well, fine. Why did you draft the freaking guy? But whatever. But I digress.
Matt says Marvin Harrison Jr. could go either way, be Justin Jefferson and Chase rookie year and worth it, or not as good. Yeah, it's
the thing about that is Jefferson and Chase weren't being drafted where Harrison is being drafted. That's the hole in that.
But did they finish the year as top 12 like plays?
Oh, they did, but Jefferson was going like in the 17th and 18th round to best ball, and Chase, even at his high point, was, God, Neil, what was he, like a 5th round pick, something like that? Know. Like he wasn't a 1-2 turn pick. I could sure as hell, like I'll bet money on that. So
one of my more shameful facts to admit is I was way out on Justin Jefferson his rookie year. I was instead drafted. Was it Olabisi Johnson? I forget who it was.
Oh, yeah. Olabisi.
Because the Vikings came out and said like that Olabisi Johnson, or I think it was Olabisi Johnson.
That was during the Zimmer days where it's like, gotta go to veterans and you gotta earn it. Like, oh, good Lord. Zimmer, get the hell out of here with this shit.
So my thinking at the time was like, so I could take Justin Jefferson around in like the 12th round, or I could get the wide receiver 2 5 rounds later, like get the receivers playing ahead of him. That did not work out very well for me that year, just believing the coach speak. So have learned my lesson a little bit in terms of trusting what the coaches are telling you.
We've all been there, man. We've all been there because we're just trying to read the tea leaves as best we can with training camp and, you know, how all that stuff kind of shakes out and stuff. So, you know, we've all had missteps and stuff, but I still think that, like, kind of getting back to that point, I think that there are still, this is something I still love about best ball is like Puka last year. There are still really, really easy bets to make as far as like looking at rookie wide receivers. Some of these guys are going to smash. It depends on who it's going to be, but I do still think, damn it. I wasn't going to say anything. I was trying to sit here and not jinx us.
You are fun. So
that's just mean, man.
James Cook on
No. I want to still go wide receivers. Let's hammer it.
Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, who you like here?
Let's take the upside bet. Like, we've got some other guy. Like, I want to go Roma Dunze.
You said let's take the upside. I was waiting. I was like, please tell me who you mean by that. Okay, Roma Dunze, you think is the upside bet here?
Yeah, I mean, look, Cooper is going to get his volume, but we've already got volume kind of sewn in. Like, who else is on this team already? We got for volume, and like we've got DK is going to be our wide receiver too. Like, it's just a steady bet. The guys above him, I think. Like, I feel like Rome is kind of like that home run bet. Like, if Allen gets hurt or DJ Moore gets hurt or Rome is just better than Allen at this stage of his career in terms of earning targets, then I'm willing to make the bet on Rome.
Yeah, no, I think that he's a strong bet where he's, you know, I don't hate the bet on Rome there either. All right, comes back around to us. We could get your guy Ladd.
I mean, we got 4 wide receivers. Let's get another elite, or let's go tight end. I think. Do you want to go Kittle again, or do you want to make the bet on somebody else like Evan Ingram or somebody?
We'd probably wait if we wanted Ingram.
Let's just go Kittle again. Screw it.
All right.
I'm just gonna make the bet on him. Like, let's just make the bet on the damn good offense.
We already got Ayuk, so yeah, we're do we do Ayuk last time?
We could. No, we didn't. But we could go Purdy. Now that sets us up for a nice little Purdy double stack. I forgot we had Ayuk.
Yeah, so that works out. That makes sense for us.
Yep.
YOLO bet, man. You are fired. If we can get you back in some way, vengeance will be ours.
Dude, I didn't want to say anything. I saw Kincaid was out there, and I wasn't saying a damn thing. I wanted to run naked through the streets if Kincaid fell to us.
Makes it all the way back to the pick before us.
Just had to shove the dagger
and he already had a tight end. That's the worst fucking part. He already had a tight end. He had no need.
Well, when you got to go, baller tight end, bully tight end build, you have to, right, Neil?
The worst thing is, I probably would have done the same thing. I
would have done the same thing too. That's why I'm giving him shit because it hurts so damn much.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's gonna do it. I know it. He's gonna do it.
Yeah, this asshole. YOLO bet. Dalton. God. He's gonna love second-year tight end Dalton Kincaid. YOLO bet.
Who else does he have on his team? What was the other tight end? Did he go like
Trey McBride? Trey McBride.
Oh, come on. What the hell, man?
He could have gone. Oh, I guess Anthony Rich. So this is where it really hurt us. I bet if Hit Him with the Gritty didn't take Anthony Richardson here, YOLO bet would have taken him to throw on to the Michael Pittman stack.
Because he had Pittman.
Because that's probably what he really wanted to do. If he's making YOLO bets, he wanted to take Anthony Richardson on that team.
Well, did he time out too, or was there time left on the? Were you watching it close whenever that was on? Because I'm almost like, did he? I don't think he timed out.
No, I think he picked.
I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because I just want to ninja kick him right now.
Yeah,
it hurts.
It does.
Hurts, man.
It hurts.
Hurts.
But we adjust. There's other players we can take.
Yep. Now we just got a double stack for Purdy. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So
and we could go triple stack late if we wanted to just invest with Ricky Pearsall too. So I'm fine with that.
True. So we are going to be left. So the spot we have is sort of awkward with the ADP. So we're going to have to probably reach or try to push. We could reach for a little bit or push our guys for a little bit. But I think if Keon Coleman comes back to us, I think he'd make sense for our next pick. But then others like Curtis Samuel.
I would rather just double stack Curtis Samuel and Shakir, if we're being honest. I would rather do that.
So then how would you like to do it as far as who do we take first, do you think, between Brock Purdy and Curtis Samuel? Because I feel like it's got to be these three picks. I guess, should we just do it by ADP?
Yeah, I think we just do it by ADP. I think we go Purdy and sew up one of the stacks. Yeah, where are we at? What's our next pick?
So our next pick is 82. And so I don't think we need to do it yet at 82.
Yeah, we don't have to do it yet because Purdy's at 103. We could do it the pick after that. We honestly could probably. What's the running backs in that range? We could just take a running back as our first guy.
Yeah, that would make sense. So it's Curtis Samuel would be by ADP the top of that list, followed by Brock Purdy, followed by Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, I really like this range of running backs. We're going to be what's our pick in the 90s, right?
So yeah, our next two picks are 82 and 87.
Okay, and then the picks after that would be what in the hundreds,
130.
No. After the 82 and 87, what's
right
so
after it's 82, 87, 106, 111, 130.
See, and I feel like the 106 is probably a good spot for Purdy. We could push it and see if he falls there.
Yeah.
Because he's right at 103. I feel like these other two picks in these 80s right now, could be good, time to double tap running backs.
So then where do we take Curtis Samuel if we do that?
Well, Samuel's, don't we have what, 106 and what's the one right after that?
106, 111, but his ADP is 101.
Okay. Then maybe we go. We also could just say
Should we go running back here?
Yeah, I think we definitely go running back here. Yeah, we can go Swift.
He's the next in terms of
because here's the other thing, we're giving ourselves a backdoor stack, and we could go Caleb Williams at some point too.
True.
We're giving ourselves outs here, Neil.
But I feel like all of our outs right now though are grouped together in terms of ADP.
They are, but again, we could kind of scattershot it. Because here's the other thing: if we miss out on any of those other quarterbacks, we could also build a backdoor stack with Jane Daniels again. True. So I'm fine, or Herbert or somebody like that. So I'm fine with just kind of where we kind of end up with quarterback, considering we have Allen. Because that's the other thing: we made the bet on Allen.
Caleb Williams goes there. So we could take. Do you want to go with another running back? Tony Pollard, Jalen Warren, Raheem Mostert. You want to just get lock up Curtis Samuel?
Let's go Samuel. I'm fine with it. Let's go Samuel here.
All right.
I'd like to get one decent stack or a skinny stack and not be okay, we got to reach on Shakir or somebody like that.
Yeah. Agreed. And I do like Curtis Samuel better than Shakir.
Well, and we punted running back too. We could also invest in Buffalo by just going Ray Davis late too to pair with Josh Allen.
True. Yep.
We got outs, Neil. We got outs.
Plenty of outs on this team. We'll I think Purdy would make sense for our next pick if he comes back to us. That's right around ADP. Get our second quarterback out of the way. Also, otherwise, we could actually. So we did not take JSN there. We could take Lockett and push it and try to get Geno Smith as our second quarterback. Ooh, either of those makes sense to me.
I like that. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah. or we could punt it late. Because again, Noah Fant is also a guy we could get as like a late tight end 3. I'm fine with a late Seattle stack too. Yeah. Again, we just got a lot of this team. I love that we built in ourselves. We built in a lot of outs for ourselves, like down the draft board.
I think that is the best way to draft, is just like build in optionality. Like that's the downside to just like starting with 6 wide receivers. It's like, well, now you really don't want to be taking that many more wide receivers. So if a bunch of wide receiver values fall, it's like, do I really want to take these guys? I don't know.
Because then it makes if you're going to double down even more on wide receivers, it makes your earlier picks look kind of stupid if you're doing that.
Yeah. Charles says Kincaid would have been a great stack, and says that YOLO also sniped his double Dak stack. That is painful. This guy YOLO bets just took, and he was, again, didn't really need the quarterback there. He already had Kyler Murray. Doesn't have anybody on Dallas. Goes Dak Prescott. That's rough.
I mean, we all got choices to make out here.
Brock Purdy goes, so we don't have the Brock Purdy out anymore, but that's fine, honestly.
Okay. That's okay. I mean, like, again, stack. we got the bet for Geno late. We could do that, and I'm fine with it. Again, it's like you're talking about secondary stacks. Like, if Josh Allen doesn't do Josh Allen things, his team's dead anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's the, like, taking Purdy here. Like, it would have been like good to just like sew it up. We're done at quarterback, but also we made the bet on Josh Allen as being the quarterback one. Like, we don't really want to take a second early quarterback. We can build out other positions. So not the end of the world.
Yeah, definitely not the end of the world. So where are we at with
So we are coming up on pick 106. We could take Tyler Lockett here, get that double stack out of the way, or we could go Brock Bowers. We could go running back.
I want to go Brian Robinson. I want to go Brian Robinson.
I had a feeling you might want to go Brian Robinson.
We didn't get him last time, and I feel like him and Singletary are easy money right now in drafts. So just kind of varying it up, because I don't think Singletary's going to come back to us.
Yeah.
I think other people, at least kind of looking at the draft board, it looks like other people are kind of like playing the catch up at running back too.
True.
But I could be wrong here.
Although, I mean, Ben here already has 3 running backs. Lights Out only has... Oh, Lights Out. He has 2.
Okay.
Ben goes Chase Brown. Austin Eckler goes... I mean, we could go Lockett here. We could go get Devin Singletary again.
How many wide receivers do we have?
We have 5 wide receivers, 2 running backs.
Screw it. Let's go running back, because I feel like if we only had 4 wide receivers, I would say go the wide receiver. But what do you think, Neil?
Yeah, no, I like that. And Tyler Lockett is somebody that could fall to us too.
He could fall to us too, considering I don't think anybody's trying to build out Geno stacks, and Lockett's kind of one of those guys that if there's anybody in this range that you could see fall past ADP, I think it's definitely him. So
if I guess Jaden must have went pretty early here. I was thinking he might be available to us, but he went at 96.
Okay.
So
people are catching up, man. His ADP will correct. That's why I keep drafting the ever-living hell out of him.
It's the DBro effect. You talk about him enough.
Bro, I wish I don't have the ability to move markets. I'm just sitting here riding the tide, riding the wave like everybody else.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to go check my timeline. Maybe like Overzet or somebody like tweeted something about Jaden Daniels. That's probably more of a market.
Those are the real market movers. I think. Overzet, Crane.
Overzet, Crane. Those are the people that are going to move the market, not my little old bald head.
Yep. The leg up guys. If they say something like, I like this guy, I feel like, especially right now, where it's like a lot of the people who are drafting right now are like really into this, like really into basketball.
Underdog is just a reflection of Twitter. Content. You know, I mean, like everybody should know that. Like Underdog is just a reflection of Twitter. If you see somebody trending on Twitter for the day, a player take, guess that he's going to go about a round to 2 rounds after before he should.
Yeah.
And you just draft him in like 2 or 3 days after that kind of wave is passed, and he'll drop back to ADP.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben in the chat is saying ETR and leg up both have Jaden Daniels higher. So does Overzet. I mean,
ETR the other one.
I just feel like the market's not right on him. Like right now, I got Jaden Daniels as my QB 10 right now in my ranks. So
Pete doesn't have rankings, does he, Ben? I think he just uses the ETR.
I think he just uses the ETR. Yeah, as far as I again, I don't know, but as far as what
I'm
what
fairly
I've seen,
certain
I
he
think,
mixes up using those two. Maybe he does a weighted ranking of them or something like that. I think that he might do
well, because
that.
I know Gretsch and Leone do their own thing as far as like going through projections and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think Pete just
that's one of my
uses
favorite shows of the
Leone's.
summer.
It is. It's good stuff. Smart people.
Just
Definitely.
going through, they go through each division, talking about like how they came up with their rankings. Like like they project out each team within the division, and then they talk about like, well, here is where I have a different. Here's where it's really fascinating to hear that kind of thing.
Yep.
Oh, I see. Yeah, he's been saying it. Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, the market's going to correct, and it should correct. I mean, his ADP is just the reason he's so low is people are just doing the whole like, oh, he's too small, he's going to get hurt. Like, well, if he doesn't, then you're going to look really stupid with egg on your face, you know.
Is Yolo Bet going to do it to us again? Is he just?
Oh God, I bet she's going to do it. Watch.
He did it to us again.
Did it? Yeah. Now it's just you're watching the stream and you're doing it on purpose. That's just obvious now.
What an asshole. All right. Not really a Zeke guy personally, but we could.
I think. Do we go Jacoby Myers here?
I would go Jacoby Myers.
I'm fine with that. I think it's an easy volume bet. Like I don't feel like I have to go with anybody else unless we wanted to go Charbonnet.
I was just we could throw.
But
Charbonnet
he could fall to our next. He could fall to our next pick
easily. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm fine with that. Because I just kind of feel like this range right now is just a really long flat tier, and it's
agreed.
It's correlate with your team or it's get your guys.
Yeah.
And past that, it's kind of like, what else are you doing in this tier?
Yeah, this is where I'm always reaching for Davien Wix, but probably not on this team. Do we just go Charbonnet here?
Yeah, let's go Charbonnet here because we only got what 2 or 3 running backs, right? 3?
Yeah, so it's our fourth running back.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm loving this team so far, Neil.
Yeah, so far we have Josh Allen at quarterback. At running back, we have DeAndre Swift, Brian Robinson, Devin Singletary, Zach Charbonnet. At wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, DK Metcalf, Rome Odunze, Curtis Samuel, Jacoby Myers, and at tight end, we have George Kittle. So we've got the secondary stack with San Francisco. We've got a Seattle stack built out a little bit. And I think that
maybe depending on schedule, Seattle and San Francisco, if they play late in the season, we could get some playoff stuff out of them. Same with Buffalo and Garrett Wilson, to be honest, now that I'm kind of looking at this team, just going divisionally.
Yeah.
Which we weren't aiming for, but again, you're just talking about added correlation into a team.
Yeah, exactly. We're correlating where we can for now, and of course tonight we'll know all the correlations as far as the schedule coming out. Are you excited for the schedule to come out, DBro?
I'm excited for the schedule to come out just so the NFL can stop doing this shit where they just milk everything for everything it's worth.
Agreed.
Like, come on, like, dude, like, come on, like. Now we got a Christmas game. It's going to be only on Netflix, or we've had like leakings of certain games over the last week. Like, dude, just get over with it. Like, we get it, okay? Like, you don't have to build up the pomp and bullshit for every single thing that happens in the NFL calendar.
Especially, is anybody excited about Kansas City Pittsburgh? Like, that is such a meh matchup to me. Like,
it's just that just feels like a gross ass game. That feels like a game like, oh hey, you wanna have a game where you bet the under? Go ahead, let's go.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Call me jaded and old. I feel like the old man yelling at clouds right now, Neil. I definitely feel like
I feel like
getting into that stage
I don't think anybody loves it. this leak of the schedule, as opposed to just like come up with a schedule when you told us you're going to come up with a schedule.
It's just stupid. Like, it's just like, we get it. Like, you have to like milk the ever-living hell out of it, and all the big talking heads. Like, you know, we have to get a prerequisite Ian Rappaport tweet and a Shefty tweet and stuff about the damn schedule, and it's like, okay, we get it, we got it, okay, we're all good. Can you just release the damn thing? Because apparently you already have it made, obviously, so just release the whole thing in its entirety. Get over with this.
Same page. We are on the same page. But I'm also an old man, as we were talking about pre-stream. We are the same age. We are the old men yelling at clouds.
Now, but you know what the good thing about this, Neil? Exactly. When I walk into any restaurant or any place and they say, hey, can I see your ID? And I just go, it's right here. It's right here. Exactly. You think I'm not about 21? It's right here.
It's the weirdest thing. At the Timberwolves game, I got carded 4 times in one night. So the Timberwolves apparently they had somebody being trained in at the beer stand at the Timberwolves game.
No, you just look that young, Neil.
Yeah, and he was just like, I don't trust that you're 21. So I got carded. But then we went out to the bar afterward, and I got carded again. I was like, what is going on? Nobody ever cards me.
Like, you need to check your glasses prescription. Like, that's the way that I always kind of go with it. Like, you see all this gray?
Right. Just look at me. Come on.
Yeah. Just take a really quick glance. Like, you don't have to stare at me. It's fine. Like, it's okay. I'm not 20 years old anymore. I get it.
We want to get our guy Burton.
Ooh, hell yes. Let's go. Burton.
Yeah. I figured you'd want to go there. We did have Josh Downs falling well past ADP. I guess we could have done that, but
I'm just not, like, I don't see the upside scenario with Downs. It's really hard to see. Where's Gino at?
Gino, his ADP is 173. But we only have the one quarterback. Pick? 159 is our next pick. I'd be fine just doing it.
I said just do it.
Get it out of the way.
I think, another guy we haven't talked yet on this stream is, again, making cheap bets on an offense. With the Alex Van Pelt being with New England, I think Antonio Gibson is a really strong pick in these later rounds. Like, looking at handcuff guys as well as this backfield just could operate going through both running backs and then not just being all Mondre, considering the year he had last year. But what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Antonio Gibson is a pretty good bet there. Lights out takes him. Do we just go Gino and
just go Gino? Yeah, Chef Gino.
There are running backs that I like here. Like we can see at the top of the board here.
Because we can go Noah Fant late as our second tight end.
Yeah.
Or third, however we want to build that out. But I think he's a really good, strong pick late, betting on the offense. Because now we didn't get Tyler Lockett. We're hedging against Tyler Lockett. So we're saying, okay, well, if Tyler Lockett sucks this year and JSN's not great, then who else pops out of the offense? Well, it could be Noah Fant.
So it sounds to me like you are in on every aspect of the Seattle offense, because you're in on DK Metcalf. We took. You're really in on JSN. Are you also really in on Lockett, or are you generally not taking Lockett unless you're trying to build out the stack?
Unless I'm building out the stack, I'm not getting a lot of Lockett. Like, I think, like, at his ADP, I would much rather just kind of either go with Zach Charbonnet or go late with Noah Fant in a lot of different builds. It's like, I think DK is just a really solid pick where he goes, because he's going to pay off that. He pays it off every single year. Just like, even if he doesn't surpass it, he's going to be a wide receiver too. But I feel like the parts or pieces of this offense that I really, really want and where I think the ceiling could come is, if anything happens to Walker, then it's Charbonnet. And I love JSN. I feel like he's a guy that's going too late. I feel like he should be above some of these other guys, like in ADP. Like, I feel like JSN should be getting drafted around, and I'm going to look at this and make sure that I'm not like just kind of talking on my ass here, but I feel like JSN should be getting drafted he's going too late. Like, I feel like JSN, instead of going in the 70s, he should be going around where Xavier Worthy and Jaden Reed are going, but he's not.
Okay. So, I mean,
but I feel like people got burned on him last year. That's why he's going lower.
I think that's around where he was going last year. Yeah, he's somebody that after they re-signed Lockett, I was pretty out of, like, okay, I'm not going to take JSN. And then Sean Siegel was making the point also for JSN of just like, yeah, second year wide receiver. Like, he was actually not that bad last year. He had some bad games or like bad drops, but like ultimately he also had some spike weeks, like showed a little potential. He was drafted pretty highly, like not as highly as I think we were anticipating where Seattle got him, but certainly he's live for a second-year breakout.
The big thing about JSN that I really want people to take away from this is, and I'm pulling this up right now, is that I think his usage profile could drastically change this year, Neil. And part of this kind of goes to debunk what we saw or what we've seen out of JSN so far. And that really kind of comes down to, I think he plays more outside this year. And if you look at where he was in terms of, and I'm pulling this up right now. So JSN, when they used him from the slot, all of his metrics were pretty damn rough. But if you look at what he did as an outside wide receiver, I think that's where people are missing some context on him. And if you look at JSN as an outside wide receiver, hold on one second, let me narrow this. And I'm using data from our lovely friends over at Fantasy Points right now. Jaleel, smash pick. Let's go. Yes, auto pick.
I was sure YOLO Bet was about to snipe him from us. That was what I thought about him with the previous pick. All right, go on.
No, I love Jaleel. But getting back to JSN, if he gets used outside more this year, Neil, I think this is where people are missing the boat with JSN. If you filter this to every wide receiver, again, from Fantasy Points data, wide receivers with 150 or more routes last year. So that's 126 guys. JSN, as far as yards per route run from the perimeter, was 15th last year, right behind Michael Pittman. And so it's like, if his role changes and he plays more outside, which in his rookie season, quietly, he proved that he can do that, then he is going to skyrocket. He's going to outkick expectations.
Hey, we got to take Fant here. Second
yeah, let's take Fant. Yeah, let's take Fant. I'm cool with that.
I love that. So are you also using the Fantasy Points data suite? Is that where you're finding this?
Yep.
I need to pick your brain sometime.
Best data in the damn business, man.
I love it so much, but I also know that I'm like not utilizing it nearly to its full capacity. Like there's just so much like different filters you can do, and I have like the schematic stuff. I'm not good at that. Like so I can look up yards per run, the easy stuff, but like where it gets a little bit more detailed, I'm like I'm just like I wasn't a football player beyond like 1 year in high school, so I'm just like I don't have quite the same understanding of some of these things that some people might, but also I feel like I could get there if I just like really dig into the data. So
one of the things that I targeted last year heavily, and it bears out a lot of fruit, Neil, from a DFS perspective and just matchup perspective, is looking at the trends of certain coverages, like teams using certain wide receivers to beat single high versus two high. And I wrote that up a ton last year, and I'm going to write it up again this year because there were certain trends. So like just in a microcosm, because we did draft San Francisco here. If you saw San Francisco face a team that had a lot of single high coverage, Brandon Ayuk was going off that week. Yep. He was going off every single time they faced a team that ran a lot of single high. Now, if they faced a team that ran a lot of two high, it was either George Kittle or it was either Deebo Samuel. And so mixing that kind of stuff in, as well as from your team build perspective, and I know we're getting really deep into the minutia with that, but mixing in some of that stuff as well with your best ball approach and how teams are going to attack certain coverages, what the league is doing from a lot more too high, a lot more zone coverage, I think is another layer that, like, if you're really getting into the nitty gritty, that we should align with some of these team builds, as well as that's on the same level as like schedule correlation for me.
Yeah, no, I love that. So what I'm hearing you say is I just need to read you. I just need to read DBro stuff if I want to understand this.
It was a soft plug. I mean, I threw it out there.
No,
I was trying to I was trying to delicately like weave it in there, Neil. But yes, that's right.
Yeah. You did a great job, in my opinion. Yeah, just go read DBro
stuff.
Soft
plug, but not really, you know.
So I feel like you're further along in your like football and like I get a little bit more into the weeds every year. Like it's like I start from like I'm a DFS player, right? So I come from the just like it's a numbers game. These are the odds. These are the like this is the ownership, whatever. But it's like every year I get just a little bit more into the NFL nitty gritty, and you know I'm hoping to do a little bit more. Which is, by the way, I'll do a soft plug here after we make our pick. Demarcus Robinson goes at pick 200. I feel like we are also pretty strong at wide receiver. We have 2-5, 7-2, so like not the end of the world. I'm really liking our team. Like I actually think that we're building out a pretty solid correlated team here. We are on the clock, sorted by ADP.
Where are we at with running back?
So how many guys we got? We have DeAndre Swift, Brian Robinson, Devin Singletary.
We got Jack 5. Who's on the board with running back real fast?
Roshan Johnson.
Let's go with let's go Damian Pierce or Estime. Or no, we already got McLaughlin. Let's go Pierce.
All right.
Just a small hedge against like Mixon staying healthy.
Yeah, we got Mixon in the last one. We're going Pierce in this one.
Yep.
Do you think that Damian Pierce is the very clear RB2 there? He's been something
easy.
That's okay.
Easy.
He was just so bad last year. He went from being like the guy they use all the time to like not really being used. I don't know.
My caveat with that is they changed up run game schemes. He had issues at the beginning, kind of transitioning to that, going from more man gap to a little bit more outside zone, inside zone and stuff like that. But the other point that I think needs to get brought up with Damian Pierce is that offensive line was in shambles to begin the season. They were hurt, banged up. They were playing like crap. I mean, we're looking at the rest of this depth chart behind Joe Mixon. It's Daria Gumbawale. It's Jawar Jordan, who is going to be a kick and punt returner. It's J.J. Taylor, who might not even make the roster for week 1. And it's British Brooks, who they signed as a UDFA. I think Damian Pierce is the clear RB2.
Do we want to go with another running back here? So we are back on the clock.
Let's
go Deontay Foreman. No, you don't like that.
You know what? Let's build out a little bit of secondary correlation. Why don't we go Mike Gesicki here? Like get the Burton, like the Cincinnati kind of double here.
I like that. So we do have the elite tight end in George Kittle, but he's also like a very much a spike week guy. So now we have two other tight ends there that can kind of hold over for the 3-point Kittle weeks.
Well, we invested a lot of ADP into Kittle, and then we went dirt cheap with tight end 2, tight end 3. Yeah. So even a 3 tight end build in this, we didn't invest any capital into the backup guys. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, agreed. So the soft plug that I was about to do is, by the way, you can get 15% off any Fantasy Points product using promo code Flannel. That includes the data suite. So if you want 15% off the data suite, and I have been assured you're not going to find a better deal on the Fantasy Points products anywhere else. They set the price, they put the price right at where they want to sell it, so they don't really give big discounts. But you can get it 15% off using promo code Flannel if you want to check out the data suite. As I said, I've been digging in more this year, DBro, and I have been digging into the data suite here and there, but definitely something that as the summer goes along, it's just fun looking at this data sometimes, because like checking your priors, like checking like this is what I think this player is, and then it's like, oh shit, he was actually way better than I thought he was. Happens to me pretty regularly.
I wanna plug one of my fam in the industry. He doesn't have nearly the follow count that he deserves. He doesn't get nearly the pub that he deserves, but he's sharp as shit. Actually, let's make this a 2 for Ryan. I know Heath. You're deep. You are yes. Ryan Heath is fantastic. 100%. Let's also put on top of that, because I know you are deep in the UFL streets too. Yeah. Jake Tribby is one of the best DFS players out there, bar none, as well as Chris Wecht is a fucking stud, dude. Yeah, and people need to be following him. I just got a lot of love for what they're doing in Fantasy Points. Like, if you're not on Fantasy Pros, you're not following Neil's content, you need to be heading over to Fantasy Points. Like,
I know you're also a Scott Barrett fan, right? So
I mean, me and Barrett talk a good bit. Me and Brett Whitefield talk on the weekly. Like, I love a lot of what they're doing down over at Fantasy Points. But the other part about this, dude, is if you're signing up for Fantasy Points, if you're in the UFL and DFS streets right now, you can sit here and bank one of these contests, and then you're paying for the data suite that you just purchased anyway. So it just pays for itself, dude. Good content, really, and good data.
Yep, I'm a fan of the team, and I've become friends with most people, I would say, at the Fantasy Points team. Scott and I talk pretty regularly now. Jake and I have been talking pretty regularly. Of course, love just a great team overall. Mm-hmm. So I am definitely with you on being a fan of the team in general, and in particular, but I also just love the data suite. I just think that there's really nothing else quite like the Fantasy Points data suite out there. Anyway, not even really trying to do a plug here, but I know
no, it's just also trying a big to fan highlight good stuff, man.
Yeah. So we finished the draft.
Another running back. Oh, are we done? We finished.
Okay,
sweet. I was like, I thought we were done. Maybe not.
So here is where our team finished. We went 2-6-7-3. Our quarterbacks are Josh Allen, Geno Smith. Running backs, DeAndre Swift, Brian Robinson, Devin Singletary, Zach Charbonnet, Jaleel McLaughlin, Damian Pierce. Wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, DK Metcalf, Rome Odunze, Curtis Samuel, Jacoby Myers, Jermaine Burton, and at tight end, George Kittle, Noah Fant, and Mike Gesicki.
I love this team, Neil. What do you think about it?
I feel really strong. I feel like this is a really strong team. Josh Allen, we go with the just single stack. So that is I prefer double stacking. We had this conversation yesterday. I'm generally I'm more into overstacking than understacking. It's kind of it's something not everybody agrees with, but I'm fine.
Unfortunately, we had a team right ahead of us that sniped us twice on Buffalo Bills players.
Yeah, that is true.
And
they're both we were so close. We were so close to getting our guys well past ADP too, with both Kincaid and Khalil Shakir. So YOLO, you are banned from any Discord that I'm in charge of. We hate you. No, I'm kidding. And then we had
no flannel for you.
No flannel for you. No flannel for YOLO bet. Geno Smith, Zach Charbonnet, part of that stack, along with DK Metcalf and Noah Fant. So that is more my style. We did majorly stack up Seattle. And I think the positional capital was pretty good. We spread it out pretty nicely to each position. So I think I like this team better than the last one, even maybe.
Yeah, I like this team a lot, dude. I think leaning into the wide receivers, like I told you, I wanted to really go specifically a 0 RB team.
Yep.
And I think we accomplished that, but I think we were very delicate as far as like, or very concentrated as far as who we were targeting at running back. And so I just like the bets that we made on a lot of these wide receivers, a lot of these offenses. We got a really good, strong correlation with Seattle, as well as the divisional stuff. Maybe we get, Yahtzee with the schedule with Seattle and San Francisco, as well as, again, staying in the West and stuff with the Raiders. And I really like the way that we built this team. We got some high upside bets as far as Jaleel. And if Joe Mixon were to go down, we do have volume bets with Swift, Robinson, and Singletary. I love the way we constructed this team. And I know we're biased, but shit, this is really good.
Yeah, and I think what really pulls the whole thing, ties the room together for me, is that Jaleel McLaughlin falling to us. He didn't even fall past ADP. Like, got him right at ADP. It just feels like it's well past ADP right now, because it feels like he's getting so
he's
steamed
been
up.
going in the 150s and stuff like that. So I agree with you. He is the rug that ties the room together. I agree.
Our Stanley, good to see you. Have not seen you since the Stokastic days. Go subscribe to the channel, because I'm if you're into best ball at all, I do that kind of content regularly, and we'll be doing other content as well on this channel and elsewhere. So if you want to subscribe to the channel, and also go join Discord if you could. I put the link in the description to the Flannelverse Discord. Just started it last week. Not a very large Discord right now, but it has been fairly popping for the size of the Discord. I feel like it's been pretty regular. I check in there and it's like, oh, there's more people talking in there, which is really fun for me. Yeah, Spencer, I will. We got Spencer in here, said that he is lights out 242. We'll go in order, go a quick review of everybody who was drafting with us and chatting with us. So I know Charles was in here. Go AZ Cards. Charles drafted Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield, and Daniel Jones at quarterback. At running back, he has Isaiah Pacheco, Joe Mixon, Trey Benson, Marshawn Lloyd, Deontay Foreman. Wide receiver, he has CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Ladd McConkey, Josh Palmer.
He got the double with Herbert. We just talked about it. I love it. I love it.
Darnell Mooney, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt. And then at tight end, he has Jake Ferguson, Evan. So he is very correlated. So he has, as you said, he has that Justin Herbert with Ladd McConkey and Josh Palmer, and none of the running backs. But then he has Baker Mayfield with Mike Evans, just Mike Evans. And then he has Daniel Jones stacked up with a couple, I think. Wan'Dale Robinson and Jalen Hyatt.
And that's fine. That's a dirt cheap wide receiver 2-3 combo. Like, I mean, again, like, I'm making a lot of not even playing with dimes, but like I'm making a lot of bets with Malik Neighbors and Devin Singletary with that stack, and just getting what I feel like is going to be the best parts of the Giants offense if they outpace expectations. But going with the double stack, and it's free money with dimes. Yeah. With those two guys, I feel like is really good too.
Yeah, I think this is like exactly my kind of team. I've said it many times. I really like Trey Benson this year, but I also really like him mostly as like a running back 3, or like I think you need 2 really solid running backs along with Trey Benson, because I'm not convinced he's going to have much of a role.
He definitely got that.
He did that exactly. Yeah. I think as I've said this before, like you can, like I say, I want him as my running back 3, but I also mean that like sometimes I take him ahead of Devin Singletary and still effectively see Trey Benson as a running back 3. So like there's ways to. Plenty of ways to. I think he did a nice job with where he took Trey Benson, making the bet on Marshawn Lloyd. I don't hate Deontay Foreman as a last round pick. No, also I think he's a strong,
because if he has 2 spike weeks, or maybe like he scores 2 or 3 touchdowns this year and he makes your starting lineup, that pick pays off. That's all you need.
Yep. Yeah, really really strong team for Charles. We also had in here, I assume Alex is in here drafting with
Lights out 242. Did we already go through their team? Because they were throwing stuff in the chat too.
He's right after us, so I'm just going chronologically.
No, all good.
So Alex has Patrick Mahomes, Drake May. Then he has Jonathan Brooks, Raheem Mostert, Tyjae Spears, Kendra Miller, Bucky Irving, Khalil Herbert, wide receiver Jamar Chase, Deebo Samuel, Devonte Smith, Calvin Ridley, Rashee Rice, Davien Wix, Jalen Polk, Khalif Raymond, and a tight end he has Travis Kelce and TJ Hawkinson. So he has Mahomes with Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. He has Drake May with
Polk. I think
Polk, just Polk. Yeah, so it goes skinny stack there, double stack with Mahomes. Man, got Rashee Rice at pick 91. He is starting to fall a bit. Looks pretty strong from a like positional allocation. Drake May probably doesn't start the whole year, but you got Patrick Mahomes, so like that's the kind of quarterback you want to pair with Drake May, I'd say. Jonathan Brooks.
This team.
I go back and forth on Jonathan. I know a lot of really sharp people love Jonathan Brooks. I think you might be one of them.
I do. Yes, I like Brooks a lot.
Here's my hesitation with Brooks is I know that he I believe he has the type of, so he has an ACL. He had an ACL tear, and those usually it'll be like you're not fully back. Like you come back, you're not like full go until like a year later. So like you can come back, but you're not fully like steamed like. But do you think that's less of a concern because of his age? Like you're not that worried about it?
I look at Brooks as I like him most in my builds when I get him as an RB2 or RB3. I look at Brooks as could he be a late season hammer? And that's how I look at Brooks. And but with the layering of this team, so really if you're drafting Brooks is you need early production. But I feel like you could get that out of Raheem Mostert. So if you flip this build on its head a little bit, if Raheem Mostert was your RB1, if he's still the guy this year, then really this also kind of looks like more of a hero RB build. And then you're getting the ceiling or the late season ceiling from Brooks and Spears and the outs from Miller and Irving and all those different guys. So if Mostert starts out the year as the clear RB1 and he's getting all the touchdowns, but then he fades, but Brooks comes on and you get one injury, then that's where this team hits. So the game theory with the build of this team, I still don't dislike. Like I still like it. Like I get the thesis on the build, but that's in a lot of like in a vacuum, I like Brooks paired as the RB2 on a hero RB build or the RB3 on a build, if I can manage that. That's my perfect idea of Brooks, but I could still see the thesis of the play in this build.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think it's a pretty strong team overall. Just wanted to hear, I figured you would have a take on Jonathan Brooks. So I wanted to get your take on Jonathan Brooks.
Because Neil, like the other thing about this is that like, I think that when we just look at this from like a macro view, I want to be building teams that are not only veterans, but a lot of rookies, because those are the differentiators when we get to the playoff weeks, as well as you need the early season production where you're not hitting zeros until injuries and other things happen. But you also need the late season hammers of guys that can bring you home. And so that's why I'm mixing in a lot of these rookies, and Brooks is a big one too.
Yep. Agreed. So really, really solid team for Alex. And then finally, we got two more. The two that drafted after us on the turn. Lights out. We'll start with gets Caleb Williams, Matthew Stafford at quarterback. At running back, he has Josh Jacobs, James Conner, Austin Eckler, Ray Davis, Antonio Gibson, Roshan Johnson. At wide receiver, he has Puka Nacua, Drake London, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, Jerry Jeudy, Javon Baker, Michael Wilson, OBJ, Kyle Pitts, and Brock Bowers. So this was a man with a plan. He goes with the Rams double stack. He has just a single stack with Caleb with Keenan Allen. Was there another? No, just a single stack. Oh, Roshan Johnson in there too.
Yeah, I got Roshan. Yep. I like this
the NFC North bet with Josh Jacobs there.
The only thing I probably would have changed with this team is he made the veteran bets for volume with Jacobs and Connor. I get the bet with Eckler where he goes. I probably would have gone like a handcuff high-end rookie instead of going Eckler there. But again, it depends on the board, like where Eckler went or who was on the
Eckler
board.
Went at pick 110. Yeah, that's what I was doing. So Eckler goes at 110. So we got Singletary a pick later. Nick Chubb, I also went to take Gus Edwards there. I would have taken Jerome Ford over going with Eckler. I would have taken Devin Singletary over going with Eckler. Yeah. That personally, or even Blake waiting Corum and taking Tajay Spears. I would have, or Corum. I would have taken one of those other guys over, considering you went the two heavy vets. So those are the guys you're expecting to do the heavy lifting. Like, could Eckler pay off? It's possible. Like, I get it, but I'm more, when I'm making those upside bets at RB3 and RB4, I'm more likely to go with the young guys and go with fresh legs, is the way that I usually attack it. I am too. That's one thing that's like, you know, it's mostly a player take thing for me. I'm just like, I'm out on Eckler this year, but I also like, I'm less out on Eckler than I am on Chubb, I think. And I think that I need to be mixing them in a little bit. So even though I'm out on the player in general, yeah, I agree. Like if Trey Benson had been there, like that would have been a smash pick, Trey Benson instead of, and actually Devin Singletary for me is, I'm taking him over Eckler every time.
Well, like I just look at
it's a strong team.
Benson and Lloyd are better picks and stronger bets, like to me, over going with Eckler at that spot. You know, it's like you could just wait, and I feel like you're making similar bets with Benson and Lloyd later, but I feel like they're stronger bets because they're younger players, and maybe we're playing like how much juice does he have left? Also, we're playing the injury game and stuff like that. So I just bets I'd rather make considering their ADPs, but also the profiles over Eckler.
Yeah. So I agree, but then I think we also both agree. Like I love the team otherwise. Like he gets Ray Davis here.
I like Ray Davis,
the fun rookie
like
upside pick. Gibson, we both like. Roschon Johnson, I think, makes sense with that stack with Caleb.
Yep.
So overall, I really like the team, even though that's that's a pick that we wouldn't make, but still. And then finally, Ben drafted Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. He has Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs, James Cook, Chase Brown at running back. Wide receiver, T. Higgins, Tank Dell, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Mike Williams, Brandon Cooks, Josh Downs, Pop Douglas, Anus Smith, and then he has Pat Freiermuth, Tyler Conklin, Cade Otton. So he has, with Burrow, he has Chase Brown, T. Higgins, just those two, it looks like. Did we snipe him on Burton? I think we did.
We might have sniped him on Burton and Gesicki.
And then he has
probably
Aaron Rodgers with Breece Hall and Mike Williams. That's kind of fun.
What, Conklin?
And Conklin,
yeah. Somebody was actually a buddy of mine texted me yesterday. He was asking me what I thought about Tyler Conklin. Like he hasn't seen him pop up in sleeper articles and things like that. And I was like, it's just because Tyler Conklin kind of sucks. Like he doesn't get enough red zone usage. And I actually looked into this the other day because again, you kind of go back to player stuff and you're like, is this what I thought it was? And it was for Conklin. Like he only had, I think it was like 6 red zone targets last year. So it's like, to bet on him getting touchdowns is tough, and I know Rodgers is coming back, but I think he had 6 red zone targets, and 4 of those came in the final 3 games. So it's like, if the red zone role is not there this year, it's like you can make a case for him, but also it could just be he's not great.
I think I remember him being, might not have been him. I think it was him though, that also I remember very distinctly had him in a showdown team that was like looking really good, needed him, and he just had a touchdown, hit him in the shoulder pad and just dropped like a wide open touchdown, hitting him in the shoulder pad.
He's
so
dead
that
to
is
you
my
forever.
thought for Tyler Conklin. But of course I don't remember if it necessarily was Tyler Conklin. Yeah, Alex, this is a good point. Breece Hall, did he really fall to 112 in this draft?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I guess we pushed him past the
Whoa,
110.
Wait. Is that Nico Collins? Somebody just screwed up and went Nico Collins at the 108. That's part of this.
Yeah, that definitely was a factor.
That's part of this.
108.
That's part of this. So
he was wait, did he build the whole? Yeah, he was trying to do the full on.
He was going the full on Houston stack. That's what he was doing. Yeah, I got it.
I've done that before. I've done it.
I've done it too. We've done that with what was it, AJ Brown last year, trying to get the full on mega Philly stack and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did the Philly stack this year too, but yeah, it's you have to reach a little bit to do it. I've done it where I took that at the 112. I took Nico Collins at the 112, Diggs at the 113, and then reach also on Tank Dell and CJ Stroud.
You had to do this in previous years with like the Bengals stack if you wanted Chase and Higgins, and it'll happen. I mean, there's going to be guys like that, but I don't dislike the Houston one. I'm more likely to just build instead of going Nico. I'm more likely to just build going Steph Diggs and Tank Dell is the way that I've been attacking it.
Yeah. That's an interesting one, interesting approach there, but Breece Hall, good for you, Ben, to get Breece Hall at the 112. I feel like I would have gone, because he got Breece Hall to fall that far, I probably would have gone receiver with it's just tough for me to start running back. I think he ended up, he only went 4 running backs, so he kind of made it work anyway. But
he's making the bet that Breece and Gibbs stay healthy. He avoids the double bye weeks and stuff like that. So really it's just going hyper fragile with the running backs, which I get. I mean, if you're paying up for them, you're making the bet that they both stay healthy and they both freaking smash. And if that happens, then yeah, you're live. One of them goes down early, then you're screwed.
Even since we're talking about it, I don't even think he was in the chat, but I noticed that line of scrimmage started with 3 running backs, which somebody in my Discord, I have a grade your draft channel in the Discord where you can post your draft, have people give you feedback on it. And somebody had posted, I think this exact start where they started McCaffrey, Achane, and Kyron Williams. It's so tough to get the team right after you start with those 3.
You're just playing catch up on wide receiver for the rest of the damn draft is what you're doing. You're going to have to hit Yahtzee with the mid-late round. You're going to have to... Basically, what it comes down to is, like, what he did was, you're going to have to hit Yahtzee on rookies, and you're going to have to hit them perfect on who's going to smash. So, or correlated perfectly with spike weeks off of those players. Now, like, is it possible? Can you do it? Sure, but it's just tough. And here's the thing. If you get sniped on one of these wide receivers that you're really hammering on the mid or later rounds that you really, really believe, then you're going to be hurting at wide receiver even more.
Yeah. Oh, Ben said this is his 50th BBM already. That's the first time going running back. So he's also not doing
Bury it up, baby.
Just took it when, with the falling value.
Yeah,
Spencer
smart.
asking if we're doing any more drafts. We have not talked about doing any more. I don't think we're doing any more.
I can't do another one today, but I would love to come back on and do another one with you as we go through the summer.
Yeah, so sorry, Spencer. Not today. We only plan to do 2, and we've gone over 2 hours already. So yeah, I mean, I stream every day, Monday through Thursday, and DBro, I would love to have back on as well in the near future. So we'll be drafting again. But sorry, not today, Spencer. DBro, this was so much fun. Love having you on as always. I feel like we are a good like yin yang in some ways, where you bring the player takes. I'm always just thinking about structure, and I have some player takes, but like you have a lot more, I think, player takes than I have. So I always love having these conversations with you. What else do you have any other plugs to give? Where can people find you, et cetera, et cetera?
All the things and stuff. I mean, pretty much every single platform, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, X, all that kind of stuff, is all DBro_FFB. All my content's over at Fantasy Pros, whether it's Dynasty content, all of my Dynasty rookies. So if you're doing Dynasty drafts right now, you got the rookie drafts. Still, if you have a few left to pop off, all my positional primers are live still: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. The NFL draft show is still up on the Dynasty feed for Fantasy Pros. Thor and I covered every single thing you would possibly ever need to know in this rookie class. So yeah, I'm kind of flipping the script a little bit now, since all of that content is out there in the weeds, to best ball and redraft. I have my top 10 best ball targets right now. That article is pinned to the top of my Twitter profile, and I'm getting into all the redraft stuff. So the first article for redraft will be my perfect draft article, which is really the main thing. Like I'm going to go through every single round, and I'm going to give you all the guys that I'm highly targeting, as well as that article itself will be split up into early, middle, and late round targets. And I'll add a few more players in edgewise in those other articles that are branched off of the perfect draft. So all those will be live either the tail end of this week or next week for Fantasy Pros.
Love it. All right. So go follow DBro at DBro_FF. Go read his content. Really sharp guy, really great content. So go check it out if you're not already checking out DBro's stuff. And of course, for me, just the usual plugs: subscribe to the channel, like the video, would really appreciate it. And of course, join the Flannelverse Discord, trying to grow the Discord, really join. And the fantasy points, you can also join, go check out the data suite, 50% off using promo code Flannel. This has been really fun. Really appreciate you guys drafting with us. Makes it a lot more fun to interact, be able to talk with the people that you are drafting with. This has been a good time. We will catch you next time.